together, so we're getting the information as it comes along. But we do want to go live to Camille and Miri.
One other important thing, and Camille can help us with this, but we're being told as of right now the suspect is still at large.
Yeah.
Our planned conversations for the day as we are monitoring a very serious active shooter situation in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan right now. We do know that a truck crashed into a Jewish synagogue there in West Bloomfield, and right now we're getting the very latest from our sister station there. Let's listen into their coverage.
But again, if indeed he is still on the loose, I mean, they've got every single police officer, every single law enforcement officer in the area looking for this person. He can run, but he can't hide. We've heard that expression many times, but we know when everyone is looking for you, that eventually someone is going to find you. And if you know who this person is and you know where he is, of course, do the right thing and call 911 immediately. He is to be considered armed and dangerous. And again, the #1 priority right now is to find him and get him into custody. So again, looking at live pictures of this huge situation, this is as close as we can get. We're at the media staging area. This is Drake and Walnut. We're much closer than we were during our first time with you. But this is where all the media is, and I think this is where we're going to be getting briefings from the sheriff, from the FBI, from anybody who may be associated with this case. Again, all schools on lockdown, the neighborhoods on lockdown, everyone considered to be needing to shelter in place while this person is still on the run. That is what's going on here still. Like I said, it's everything just unfolding as we're getting it. We're giving it to you. But this is a situation. We have not seen this much law enforcement since the Oxford shooting. But thankfully, we are, again, hearing that there are no fatalities with this situation.
All right, Camille and Miri, we'll let you do your work there on the ground. And it is a huge police presence like we have never seen before. So many wrinkles have developed as we have been live on television. Thank you, Camille. But we have a lot to talk about as we continue the coverage of what probably has the eyes, if not the eyes of the nation, the eyes of the world are now on Michigan for what has happened in this synagogue in West Bloomfield.
Absolutely. Our own Roop Raj is standing by. And Roop will tell you as well, we've heard from at least a statement from FBI Kash Patel, also detailing that they are keeping an eye on this as well. You mentioned this certainly has the eyes of the nation.
Yeah, and not just, not just any temple, but arguably the largest Reform synagogue in North America, a building that spans over 100,000 square feet with 3,000 member families in a city that has anywhere between 15,000 and 20,000 Jewish residents.
So we'll let Roop Raj take over the coverage. Roop.
It is good to be with everyone, even under these circumstances, and thank you for the work that you all are doing to talk about this important story. As you say, the whole world really watching what's happening right here in West Bloomfield, Michigan. As you noted, I think through your coverage, one of the largest Jewish populations in many large metro areas is right here in Metro Detroit, and namely in West Bloomfield. And so whoever this person was who was trying to do what this person was trying to do clearly understood that he was truly at the epicenter of the culture and the religious center of this community. And so many of us, whether you're Hindu, Christian, Muslim, it doesn't matter. We all have Jewish brothers and sisters and friends, and all of our hearts are heavy as we watch, of course, that community grapple with violence against one of the most special places that they have that they call home. And so, yes, we continue our team coverage. We thank the handoff from the team at Good Day Detroit as we continue our coverage throughout the afternoon. Now, listen, I've been talking to several people in the religious community in the last few days. Let's go to some pictures live right now, what you're seeing. These images right now, as you know, and I think as, Derek astutely put, they remind you of something else that we've seen before. And what we've seen before, other active shooter situations. And again, if you look at the number of people just driving in, I just got in about 5 minutes ago, and as I was driving in, you actually noticed rushing down the highway on I-75, heading towards West Bloomfield right now, armored vehicles, FBI, sheriff's departments. I actually passed by schools that are Christian schools that had police in the front of those schools. The one thing you got to give this metro area is the fact that when something happens, as we saw happen in Grand Blanc, Michigan, with that terrible shooting that happened there, incidentally also involving a car that had also rammed into a building you understand that how quickly all of the law enforcement personnel from this area, from Southeast Michigan and beyond, rush without asking questions to get to the scene. Right now, the scene out in West Bloomfield, you'll see the decals on the cars that come from Keego Harbor, from West Bloomfield, from Troy, and yes, the Sheriff's Department as well. We should tell you, our Jessica Dupnack, our Camila Miri, and our team of reporters and producers are working right now very diligently. Miss it is this. We have so much social media. We see what you see. We see the messages saying, I heard this was the case. I heard that was the case. I understand the shooter may have been killed. Perhaps the shooter is not. Instead of reporting hearsay, what's going to be different than what you see on your phone, what you see here on this stream, here on this television station, and here on the monitor is clearly the fact that we have verified facts and information. And so that's such an important piece of this puzzle that we're putting together. If you're just joining us right now, we're looking at an active shooter situation at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield, one of the largest temples of its kind, not just here in Michigan, but in the country. And joining us now is a rabbi who is on the phone with us right now, Rabbi Shalom, and we thank you so much for joining us here today on our broadcast, just to kind of unpack what it is that you're hearing, what you're seeing. Rabbi Shalom Cantor, and you're with a nearby synagogue. Obviously, this Jewish community, all of us, including those who aren't Jewish, are thinking about the entire Jewish community here today. Tell us what you're hearing in terms of fact from authorities, from others out there right now.
I only know what you all have said. I don't have any more information at this point. I can tell you that the lockdown of my son's high school, which is the Frankel Jewish Academy housed at the Jewish Community Center, the lockdown has been lifted, but the lockout has not, meaning that nobody's in, nobody's out. My son just texted a little while ago and said that FBI agents are in the building, protecting, making sure that everybody's safe. In terms of facts, I don't want to, as you just stated very clearly, I don't want to spread rumors. I don't want to say anything that...
Sure. Rabbi, I think we may have lost you there for a moment, but I think your message stands very clear. I think the rabbi is simply saying, look, he also is following the same thing that we're following, which is we report what we know. And in a situation like this, there's a lot of fear. And clearly right away, people start reporting what they think they may have heard. But what is the truth right now is that we know that nobody that we know of was hurt. That is confirmed. We know that the kids that were nearby or in there have been removed, and that they're going to be okay as well. They're waiting for their parents to pick them up at another location. But in the meantime, the question that does remain at this hour is, who was this person, and where are they now? There are some media outlets reporting that this person has been shot. We are not going to report that until we get express confirmation from sheriff's deputies and from investigators on the scene. So we're waiting and watching for that. And Marielle Liu is with us as well here in Studio A. And Marielle, as you've been covering this for the last few hours now, you understand how important it is, because when you look at social media, people say, didn't you hear, didn't you hear? And we got to kind of put the phone and go like that and say, wait a minute, let's figure out what we know right now.
Very important, especially at a time like this when there's so much fear in the community, to just be able to take a step back and to just look at the facts as they are, and then as more information comes into the newsroom, that's what you will get from us, and you can count on us here at Fox 2 to do that every time. We do still have the rabbi.
He's back on the phone. Rabbi Shalom Cantor, we lost you there for a moment. Glad you're with us. You were saying, talking and reflecting with us a little bit about how you don't want to speculate. But what is it that you do know right now in terms of those loved ones and those friends, family members, those in the community that are accounted for? Have you talked to people who are affected by this personally?
So my son is which is housed at the Jewish Community Center. They've been on lockdown until about 20 minutes ago, when the lockdown was lifted, but they still have a lockout, meaning that nobody's in or nobody's out of the building. The FBI has a presence there, as do other police officer organizations, to protect and secure the building. I do know that the children have been evacuated, as you've already reported, but beyond that, I don't have any specific information.
Rabbi,
I talked to, let me say, I did talk to two grandparents, two of my congregants who have children grandchildren who attend the preschool, and both have reported that they have news that their grandchildren are okay.
I do want to report that we have now confirmed that the shooter in this situation is dead, taken down by security there at the church. This is according to police. So we have now confirmation that the person who was responsible, according to investigators, and trying to do this, whatever it is this person was trying to do, the violence, this person has been taken down, shot, and killed. And so that now we've confirmed the shooter in this situation is dead. That confirmation coming to us here in the 2 o'clock hour.
Okay.
So, Rabbi, yeah, you were, go ahead.
What else can I answer? So in terms of facts, I can't give you any more than you already have.
Here's what we're asking now, Rabbi, if I may, because the shooter in this situation dead, that coming into the newsroom now, but that does not necessarily ease the fear in the Jewish community right now, just on a human level. Can you explain to us what is in the hearts and minds of so many Jewish Americans who certainly feel like there has been an increase in attacks, an increase in hatred, not just coming from afar, but right here at home?
It is petrifying at times. It also brings people together, and it gives us a sense that we together can get through this. But there is no question that there is an elevated level of fear. And, following this, I'm sure that there will be many more levels of fear and a need for increased security on many different levels. That will be both visible security and things that won't be visible to the naked eye, but things that we know about that will be instituted at, I'm guessing, many of the different institutions around the community and probably around the nation to a large extent. People are nervous. And people ask all kinds of questions about, is it safe to show my identity outwardly? Can I wear a outward sign, whether it is a head covering, a yarmulke or a kippah, or some sort of necklace, or do I need to hide that? People have asked me. I also teach at the high school one class on Jewish identity, and we discuss this all the time about, is it safe to show Jewish identity publicly, or is it something that we have to hide? And there's not one right answer, but this is going to definitely impact that and impact how people feel about publicly showing. So for some people, it will make them want to show it more and say, I am proud of who I am and you're not going to scare me. And there are other people who understandably are going to say, I'm not so sure. I'm very proud of who I am, but I need to be cautious, show out in the world. And both responses have to be validated and have to be understood and have to be respected. And I think that is going to be one of the key things going forward.
We've taken calls from one of your members and certainly a friend of Fox 2, Carolyn Krieger, who was in tears, just expressing just how many times people in the Jewish community have had to go through this. If you were to give words of encouragement right now to people who are disheartened by this, who are watching, what would you say to them?
Number one, find people that you can be with. Find community. We need each other. Do not sit in your home and watch the TV by yourself, but find people to be with. Find people to support you and people that you can support in return. Number one thing.
Yeah. Rabbi Cantor,
Judaism is all about community.
Yes.
And the community is coming together in large numbers, not only here in Metro Detroit, but across the world, wrapping its arms around a community that has given so much to our greater Metro community. And Rabbi Cantor, you're a big part of that. We thank you for your time here on the phone today. We want to get to Fox News' Camille Amiri. She's live with us right now with somebody who's been there for a little while now. And Camille, what are they telling you?
Yeah, we're talking to Beth Swiss, one of the first people here on the scene as far as civilians go. Beth, thank you for talking to us. I know you talked to me earlier. Kind of tell me how your day started and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I was at Henry Ford Hospital dropping something off, and I was driving down the street, and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and there were police officers driving by super fast. There were about 10 police officers down the street, so I told my mom, hey, let's pray. There's something like happening. So I thought it was a car accident. And then when I got to this light, there was it looked like a mom with a cell phone, and she was running really fast across the street. She didn't even like see me or the other cars, and so I told my mom like something else is happening and maybe there's a school right there. So again, we were praying, and I just started driving down the street away, and then when I hit this dirt road, I was like, I feel like I should go back. Let's just get off the phone, but keep praying. And then when I drove back, I parked in the parking lot, and I just felt from the Holy Spirit to come and to pray with people. And then I texted work, Oak Point Church, and had them all praying. And so, yeah, and then just been with some parents and lots of other people, giving them hope and comfort while they wait.
You were just describing the expression of the woman. Talk about that when we were talking off camera, what you felt when you saw her face.
Yeah, I mean, it was a look of horror, like absolute horror. And so, yeah, it was really disturbing, actually.
And when we see these things happen, we always think worst case scenario, but knowing that everything we're hearing, that no one was killed, and that the police have taken out the suspect, that they've neutralized the suspect. What goes through your head, obviously unfolding very quickly?
Yeah, I mean, just for the family, just watching them, there was just even a mom that came out, I believe, holding her child, so that's very emotional. And so there's other people that are waiting for their spouses to come out, to still connect with their kids, but definitely rejoicing in that and comfort, and also even just to see just all the support of the first responders is very overwhelming as well. And then I always have a heart for like I always think that's someone's child, someone's son, someone's neighbor. So again, you and I talked about like what can we do as a community to diminish
and to prevent this from happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's just for all of us to pay more attention to people, like to each other, to be kind, loving, and then when we do see something that's off, to report it. It's not going to hurt for us to report it. So just really paying attention.
Thank you, Beth, so much. Yeah. I appreciate it. Again, just hearing from one of the people who was first on the scene as far as civilians go and what she saw. Everybody here thankful that this did not result in any fatalities. As far as the suspect go, again, the police have taken that suspect down. We have confirmed that, but still, obviously, a lot of work to be done here. Still a very active police situation, and of course, we're waiting to hear from Sheriff Bouchard as far as an update from him goes. But we're going to stand by it here live and send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Camille and Mary for us live tonight. Thank you. You know, Marielle, just looking at this, and then you kind of go, when's the last time something like this happened? Mm-hmm. It was in Grand Blanc, September 28th, just down the road, a little north of here, when someone actually, Thomas Sanford, I believe was his name, he rammed his pickup truck into the church. And now you're seeing in this situation, I know a text that was given from the temple to all the members said a car crashed into the building, police shot driver, not sure if he's dead. This is as per the temple sending to members. Car caught on fire, which is why fire trucks are there. And it just kind of reminds you of what happened with this perpetrator, this 40-year-old guy who also rammed his pickup truck. Mm-hmm. It's almost as though the same MO was used in this situation. Thankfully, you know, in the Grand Blanc situation, you had 4 people who died. Right. In this situation, no one was hurt inside, which is good news.
We talked to former Assistant Chief Steve Dolan about exactly that, who said, is this a copycat situation? We talked about the policy here at Fox 2 not to give any notoriety to people who choose to create mass chaos in our communities. So we're certainly not doing that here, but you have to wonder just for the people in the Jewish community, this constant fear every time you get an alert like this and you see car into the building. Early when this was happening and before we were getting information back into the newsroom, we see smoke billowing from the building. We don't know if it's a fire. We don't know if there are kids still inside. There is a food pantry day that the synagogue does on Thursdays. That would have been today as well while people were there. Thankfully, we're not reporting any injuries, but this is something that people are having to think about. We have Scott Wolchek on the ground for us as well. Scott, what can you tell us?
Hey, you know what? This is pretty wild to see. It is a good thing to hear that this shooter is down, and it appears that there's no injuries. The second that any of us heard that there's a nursery school there, I mean, your heart just drops down to another level. So we actually just saw maybe a couple minutes ago a young mother walking out, you know, just holding a child so close to her. She did not want to do any type of interview or anything like that, but so much emotion on her face, and you can see this police presence is unlike many things that I have seen in my career. This is truly an amazing show of just a preparation plan, but it sounds as though this shooter had driven the vehicle into the Temple Israel there and was quickly dispatched. So this could have been so much worse. Of course, it is still an active scene, still a developing situation, but there's a lot of emotion on this scene, and it is very hard to tell, you know, when you're actually out here. It's hard to tell, you know, what may have happened in that time period, right? You know, you get this information and it just kind of trickles in, and so you hear things, and it's certainly something that I have not quite seen in my career, but it's something that you have to feel blessed that there are so many police and EMS that have come out here able to support the community, and I think a lot of us are praying that it is true that there are no other injuries. So it's definitely something that is pretty wild to witness.
We know right now. Thank you, Scott Wolchek. And you stay on the line, so to speak, with us here. I know that we're getting some reporting from our team saying, per police source, one security guard was hit by the suspect's car, but their injuries are not life-threatening. The suspect barreling into this, into the temple, and in the process, obviously, people trying to stop him. It seems as though one security person was hurt. But Marielle, we should also point out it was a security person who exchanged fire or shot this person and was able to bring this person down as well. This job, if you're not a police officer and you're just running security, you're trying to make sure that the right people are coming in and out of the building. Right. You're looking out for everyday stuff that you look out for, but this is the kind of stuff that they train for, and clearly that training paid off for that security guard.
That's one of the things we talked to former Assistant Chief Dolan about, is in this moment you have officers who in a way have to compartmentalize. They are trying to make sure that the scene is secured. Then you also very understandably have parents who are trying to get their kids out of there, who don't really care about your request to keep the area clear so that emergency vehicles can make their way through, because they're wanting to make sure that their kids are okay. Again, we're continuing to report no injuries. Kids were moved to Shenandoah, so all good news to report there. But when that's not always the case, there are so many different things that officers have to deal with. So to also be able to respond so quickly, and not just West Bloomfield Police, FBI on the scene, fire, I mean, everyone so quickly. And they said that they've changed for this. And also, Roop talked about how their training has changed in recent years because of the increased threats, not just because of what's happening overseas, but also the increase in homegrown terrorism, white supremacy, things like that, that have made it certainly more of an active job for all agencies involved. How do you protect people when there seem to be just threats popping up everywhere, and on any given day you have someone who, as we see here, decides to drive into a building knowing there will be people there? You know,
and you make a good point. You know, they're seeing more of this, and I think the bottom line is right now, from a mental health point of view, you kind of look at this and say, you know, how much time are we spending in echo chambers? And I say that not as commentary, but as fact. We know that so many of these people, as you say, that we don't want to give any glory to or any notoriety to, but they spend a heck of a lot of time in these echo chambers, kind of echoing other things that they're hearing that could be considered hate. You know, you talk about mental health and watching images like this, making sure you don't get desensitized. There's a therapist who's on the phone with us right now from Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Craywick, and that's a therapist who obviously understands what these images, what these pictures do when we see them, and how we can process them moving forward. And we thank you, Carrie, for joining us here. Your initial thoughts on what we're seeing here, what's unfolding, and how we all can process this, especially those with kids.
Absolutely. I have kids in the Bloomfield schools, so this afternoon I got the text that they were on lockdown, and of course my heart sank. for everybody involved. My own sister was an elementary school principal where there was a school shooting in Perry, Iowa, just a few years ago. I've appeared on your show for the Oxford shooting, the Las Vegas shooting. So every time this happens, I think every parent, every person, everybody in the community just is heartbroken and worried, because it does seem like it happens more often and in places that we would just love for there to be safety, such as a preschool or a place of worship.
Hey, Carrie, this is Marielle here. I want to ask, because you bring up a good point. Your sister working in the school system, there are so many different ways that we can relate to this, right? You can be a member of a minority group who understands what it is to be discriminated against. You can be a member of the Jewish faith who is constantly feeling under attack. You might have a wife or a spouse who is a teacher, so you think about the school aspect in that regard. What do you recommend for people who empathize with this situation and who feel so deeply what's happening, but also just to protect our own mental health? How do we all navigate constantly seeing scenes like this play out on a day-to-day basis?
No, I love that as a question. I mean, empathy is a quality that, of course, we would want all of the members of our community to have. Empathy is the ability to have an experience, maybe not the same experience as someone, but be able to connect it to our own. And so if you've experienced loss, or if you've experienced tragedy, you've experienced trauma, if you've experienced discrimination, you want to be able to recognize that in other people and really feel for them. And I think, the rabbi mentioned, really turning towards community, really gathering together with other people and people who've had shared experiences is a way we can reduce stress. Our life as it exists is always going to have stress. We need periods of both stress and rest. And so to be able to connect with other people and feel safe amongst those people is a way to reduce our own stress. And, even as a therapist, is like when people come to you, it both is stress relieving for the person who's coming to you and for the person who's there to be there for them. So to feel like you should be a part of a community, because it's good for both the giver and the receiver.
And you have, as a mom yourself, you understand that, but as a therapist, you understand it even more deeply so. Carrie, we thank you for your time here today. We should mention that in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we expect to actually hear from some of the officials about what exactly transpired inside of the Temple Israel, because we have so many questions. We know, again, if you're just joining us, that the shooter is dead. We also understand that one security guard was injured when this person ran their car into the temple. And we also know that our own Lauren Edwards is live on the scene right now with the very latest from what she's hearing and what she's seeing. And Lauren, give us some perspective. Who are the people who are kind of surrounding that scene outside of police personnel?
Roop, I can tell you we just arrived here on scene at the Jewish Community Center. Over to my right, I'm going to have my photographer, photojournalist, Tim Baker, pan over that way, because we're told this is where families are going to be gathering. This is where families are meeting up again with loved ones. Now it's the Jewish Community Center of Metro Detroit. And as you can see, it is a packed parking lot, and the Birmingham Fire Department is there. And as I said, we just arrived, I would say 20 to 30 minutes ago. And we've seen police here from all the multiple agencies all around Oakland County, obviously responding to such tragic and awful thing to have happened. And we're just waiting. We're waiting for families. We're waiting to see them reunited, hoping I can speak to them and just ask them, a number of questions, just how they're feeling, their initial thoughts. And I had seen things online that, of course, parents right now are scared, families, loved ones. So many people are scared. And it's again, what we know so far, everyone is okay, but I can't imagine just going through something like this. So we're just going to stand out here. We're near the intersection of Maple and Drake, and we're just waiting for families to go in, hoping that we can hear from just one about what they are experiencing at this very moment. So I can tell you, Rupa, that we're going to be out here all afternoon, again, hoping to meet with a family and a loved one. It's just about what they're thinking and feeling at this time.
Lauren, Muriel here. Just curious, from a journalist's point of view, a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to be in situations like this, where if you are able to speak with a parent, still approaching them with the humanity and the reverence that this situation deserves. Can you just speak a little bit about that process, and if you are able to talk to a parent, just what that experience is like from your point of view?
Muriel, I'm so glad you asked that question, because it's something we have to approach with sensitivity. I remember covering the Oxford shooting that sadly happened, and I didn't bring my microphone when I approached parents. You know, it can be intimidating. A camera, a microphone, even just asking questions. So you try to be as sensitive as possible. I remember being in Boston at the Boston Marathon shooting, and that's another time too, where you just try either to hide your microphone or don't bring it at all, or you have your photographer just stay a little bit to the side so that you can approach them just with sensitivity and grace and say, hey, how are you? Is it okay that, you know, can you give us just one brief comment? We understand that you're going through absolute chaos right now. You know, it is a nightmare. As I've said many times, I can't imagine being a parent or being a loved one, a grandparent, anything, and going through something like this and just getting alert on your phone. Hey, there's an active shooter situation. Those are 3 words, Muriel, nobody wants to hear. So in this situation, I'm going to be as sensitive as possible, but also really wanting to get their perspective, because that just all brings it home, and it's very humanizing to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, Lauren Edwards for us live today, I should say thank you. It'll be a long night at that as this investigation does continue. And of course, we get more answers. We're about 8 to 10 minutes away from a news conference. We're hoping on the scene there that we'll learn more. In the meantime, you know, you talk about, we've mentioned now twice, security officer who was able to neutralize the threat, another security officer who was injured. Mike Harville is a security officer who is trained to protect places of worship. We've had him on our show so many times before. Mike, you're on the phone with us here today, and we thank you for sharing your time. It goes without saying that these church security officers and the plan that they have with them is critically important in the moments where it counts most here. Mike? Can you hear me, Mike?
Over there. That's terrible.
Roop, can you hear me?
There he is.
There we go.
Mike, I was just saying that it is very important to note that it was security officers, one of which we understand shot the suspect. And in another case, a security officer was actually hurt trying to neutralize this threat. These officers are critically important, and you do this kind of work all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And it's sad we've come to this, but you know, I heard it mentioned earlier on the news report that it took a good guy.
Mike, we'll have to go right to the sheriff. We'll come back to you, okay?
Check 1, 2. Everybody set?
Here's Mike Bouchard, the sheriff of Oakland County.
Okay, so again, this is all going to be super preliminary stuff. And anytime you have a situation like this, information changes and evolves. Here's what we know so far. A car came to the facility, breached the facility by driving into it, was engaged by security. We believe there is one individual deceased in the vehicle. It's been complicated because there was some fire, to say the least, with that vehicle. We believe that individual is deceased. No kids, this is the important thing, no kids or no staff was injured whatsoever, okay? So we have no victims other than one of the lead security people was hit by the car and was taken to the hospital for treatment. That individual should be okay. So far, that's our information to this point. We have agencies from all over. Obviously, ATF is here, FBI. More than likely, will be taking the lead on this based on some of the preliminary investigative information we have, but we're not going to go into that at this point. But we want to assure the community it doesn't appear to be anything active. We're still clearing the area. We're going to clear vehicles for any explosive devices, the building, etc. Unification of the families and the kids are in progress. We've accounted for everybody that we believe was in the building at the time. So we're to continue to maybe pivot to, is there anybody else involved, and the investigative side of what's happened.
And so you can confirm that it was security that shot and killed the suspect here?
Well, we can't say what killed him at this point, but security did engage the suspect with gunfire.
Did the suspect have a weapon?
We can't get into a lot of that stuff, but he breached the building, drove down the hall, and he was engaged by security.
So do we know if he ever fired shots?
Preliminarily, we have some information, but nothing that we confirm, so we're not going to go into it. He drove in through doors with a vehicle.
There's only one person in that vehicle?
That's what it appears at this point.
What do we know about this fire?
Something ignited in the vehicle. That's a work in progress. We're, through an abundance of caution, clearing the vehicle for IEDs or any explosives. We've got a significant number of bomb dogs on site, bomb techs on site, and all of that's going to be done to check the boxes. We have deployed resources all across the county, just in case, out of an abundance of caution, that there may be a secondary site, but we don't have any information at this time to believe that. So we want people to take a breath. No one was hurt. We're on top of it. The chief and his team got here fast. Everything that was supposed to happen happened. Security did their job, and then the responders did theirs.
Was it a Michigan vehicle?
Sheriff, what did the call come out as?
I believe it came out as an active shooter. The vehicle's in the hallway of the building, inside the building. Again, I can't tell you what he died of until we get a little further. We haven't actually gone into the car, so it's still being cleared.
So we do know that the security guard shot this.
They shot at?
Shot at them. It's clear he was killed.
Because, you know, in situations like this, you never know. If somebody's trapped, sometimes they kill themselves. So the suspect was engaged. Was it the same? It's the clearest sentence I can give you.
What is the condition of the
information I got, he should be okay. He was knocked unconscious.
So it was a different security officer who fired the shot?
There were multiple security officers on scene, and the one that was hurt was pulled from that area by his team.
Where's the car registered from? What?
We're not going to get into the specifics on the car. It was a truck.
Sheriff, is this a West Bloomfield scene, a sheriff's scene? I know everybody's here.
Everybody's here, more than likely, based on, you know, a couple early pieces of information. The FBI may take the lead. That's yet to be formally determined.
Were there explosives in his vehicle?
That's yet to be cleared.
How much damage to the building from the fire?
That I can't even tell you. And you couldn't even see that the hall was completely clear. We had to send people in with gas masks to clear that area.
How are the kids doing?
All the way in the building.
Do we know how fast he's going?
It's hard to say how fast. I mean, he was traveling with purpose down the hall from my look at the video.
Chief, this could have been a far worse situation considering the severity of it, him getting into the building, whatever may have been in the vehicle. Talk about just the response, those security guards, and how this could be far worse than what we're reporting and seeing right now.
No, absolutely. In fact, what I would tell you is that I am deeply proud of the response, not only from the security that was on site, but also of all the police officers and the firefighters that are here right now. We train on active shooter events a lot. The county has a consortium, OCTAC, that trains the entire county on active shooter tactics, and that's something that we believe in and that we support, and I think that training certainly helped to mitigate what happened here today.
And the chief has been in contact with all of the facilities for weeks, not just on the last couple of weeks, but constantly forever. But in the last couple of weeks, even a lot more integrated communication. You know, I mean, there are always, and all of the agencies in Oak County are partnering with their religious institutions and schools. And anytime there's a concern, there's communication, there's extra patrol, extra attention, extra warnings. That had all happened for the weeks leading up to this. And the team inside that building was very queued up. And I know the chief had communicated directly with their head of security weeks ago.
Were there any directed threats at this specific temple?
There was no specific chatter about any institution or facility in Oakland County, but they were all on alert.
Sheriff, we see vehicles leaving, is it all clear been issued? Is the shelter in place still in
It's still in place until we clear vehicles and make sure there's no IEDs or other secondary potential. But we believe there's nothing active at the moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. So it's likely that there could be another press conference here, maybe within the next 2 hours.
Okay.
Something like that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there you have it. Sheriff Mike Bouchard addressing the media, essentially saying right now, unless the FBI decides to take over, which often they do in cases like this, Oakland County Sheriff's Department is leading this case. And we can tell you right now, the bottom line is today, we know a car crashed into Temple Israel. We know someone was inside. That person, after exchanging gunfire, I don't know if that person had a gun, but gunfire erupted in that scene. The person was killed. A security person was hurt. At this time, there's no threat, and the lockdown is over. That's good news.
Many Jewish organizations across Metro Detroit were also placed on lockdown. As a result of this, that has been lifted as well. I do believe we have Mike Harville back on the phone with us. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Mike, thank you again for staying with us throughout this afternoon. I'm curious what happens next from a security standpoint. Once you have an event like this, someone drives into a building clearly with at least the effort of a coordinated attack. How do you, I guess, change the security protocol, or what happens the next day when something like this happens?
Well, usually what's going to happen is the security force, for lack of a better term right now, we'll do a debrief, go through and look at the situation, look for any opportunities that might have been improved upon, and then make some changes if they see something they could have done better. I will tell you this, knowing the Jewish Federation and their team, I know the lead of their team personally, great guy. They have a top-notch program. And so I know that they did very well in this particular incident.
I do want to ask you, you talk about this incident, and we understand that what happened in Grand Blanc, you and I talked after that, a guy rams his pickup truck at that point into a church. Here we have a car hitting a church. This is the type of thing, the MO that these guys have to try to disrupt or to get people out or to kind of startle everyone. Is that what you all are trained on as well in terms of figuring out what to do in the moments after something like that happens?
Exactly, and that's something that I know not just my teams, but teams at security, the houses of worship and other places across the country are all starting to look at this, because with Grand Blanc and then this is basically a copycat, seems like, almost. And this could be the new norm, where they're going to use a vehicle. They might have explosives in it. Because I just heard this. I was listening on my way home from work, and I heard this on Fox News that somebody was being interviewed and said this very same thing. This is the new method that these guys may be using. So now everybody needs to start training and looking at these options. What can we do if this sort of thing were to come our way?
Well, obviously, we hope and pray that these types of things just stop, because this is a terrible thing and it's a shocking thing for so many people. Marielle, you have any questions for Mike as well?
Mike, I wanted to ask you, because you gave such a brilliant answer to this earlier, and it really did give us insight into just how much your job changes. And as you just mentioned, now kind of having to study every time there's an incident like this and see what can we learn, what can we be prepared for. Can you talk about how your job has changed, perhaps gotten more difficult in recent years as we see more of these attacks happening here at home?
Well, I've gotten busier, I will say that. But we do more training, and we're not just training security teams, we're training staff. We're training other volunteers in the church, so that there are more people who are knowledgeable and can react should something happen, and not just a handful of people. So it's very good to have people who are trained. I think I mentioned earlier there's a program that we use called React ASAP. It was designed by law enforcement here locally, and it's a great program. And so that's something we teach with all of our people.
Well, Mike, I do want to ask you, though, and look, this may be tentative, preliminary, but I think it's important to note that if this is their supposed new norm, if this is how they want to do things, everyone else has to figure out how to react to that. So what is it that someone should do from a security standpoint if they hear that someone rammed their car or truck into your place of worship?
Well, I mean, say that again, Rube.
What's the training? If this is common now, it seems like twice in the last 6 months that we've seen this, a car or pickup truck goes smashing into a place of worship. What's the protocol? What are you supposed to do if you're inside that building at the time?
Well, each church can play it out differently, or house of worship, I should say, but sometimes it could end up being a medical situation. And so you want to try to help if it's a medical situation, but you're going to have to approach the vehicle with caution. You're not going to be able to just run up to it and say, oh, my gosh, this person's having a medical emergency. We need to help them. You're going to have to approach with caution and be very slow and methodical about it to make sure that's exactly what you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's sad because that stymies the humanity that we all have. When you hear someone crashing a car, you think, hey, I want to go check on this person. But sadly, as we've seen in this incident and the one in Grand Blanc, it wasn't that. It was someone who didn't need help but was trying to hurt.
That's right.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for checking in with us again. We may give you a call in just a little bit. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Let's check in with Fox News' Dave Spencer, boots on the ground right now, right at the scene there. And Dave, what are you seeing in terms of reunification and how people are doing there now?
Yeah, Rupa, reunification is a process that's happening right now, and it's about 2 blocks from where we are. And you could see from the massive police presence behind me that it's really impossible for anyone who isn't going to be reunited with a loved one to get beyond this police presence, this barricade, if you will. Mobile command units, we're talking multiple mobile command units on scene here. In the last few minutes, however, the posture of everyone, all the law enforcement agents who have body armor and long guns out and drawn has significantly changed after we've realized that the threat, whatever potential threat there was, has been neutralized. But again, I've never seen a police presence quite like the one I'm witnessing right here. I'm about a block and a half from the temple from where I stand right now, and it is here on Walnut Lake. Police cars beyond count. I can't see the end of them as I look at these flashing lights here parked alongside Walnut Lake, and you could tell by the way some of these agents come in cars that aren't marked, the way they're parked up on a curb. Just the urgency at which they were kind of making sure they were rushing to the scene and getting here in order to respond to the perceived threat when we were very unaware of what was going on and how many people could be potentially involved. And as we just heard, and I listened to as well, the Sheriff Bouchard giving us an update that there is no more threat in place. We're watching these law enforcement agents from all over. We're talking state police, sheriffs, the county sheriff, local from West Bloomfield here, kind of take a different posture. ATF agents as well, kind of walk it down and get back to the car. They mentioned they're going to start clearing out the area as best they can, allow the people that were sheltering in place, because these are just neighborhoods here at Greenbrier, and this is all part of where the reunification was going to take place, was just a block and a half down from where we're standing now. We understand that you cannot get, we're going to allow the privacy that's from the law enforcement there for those families to get back to one another after going through that terrible ordeal that they experienced just a few hours ago. And we still see the helicopters up. There's 2 of them, police helicopters circling the scene, making sure that what we know to be true is in fact true, as we kind of just process everything that's happening here in terms of the sheer number of law enforcement agents. Again, unlike anything I've ever seen. I'll send it back to you.
Reporting live for us. Dave, thank you so much. We have Camille Amiri standing by as well. You can certainly sense a difference in the urgency there now that we know that the suspect is dead, and now they are more concerned about getting families back together, being able to have a place where people can meet safely away from all this. You can only imagine all of the emotion in the area as well.
It's probably thick as can be as people are reunited with their children, especially, and those loved ones in other areas. Camille, I know, of course, as we all have noted, that the next step is going to be figuring out who this person was and what they planned to do before they were stopped.
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question. Of course, we don't have the answers to those questions right now, but we do know that he has been killed. Police not saying whether he killed himself or whether he was taken out by an officer. They have yet to confirm. They're still trying to work that out, but we do know that he is dead. We do know that they rammed his vehicle into the synagogue, according to police, according to Oakland County Sheriff Bouchard, Michael Bouchard, and that he shot at that he may have injured one of the security guards, but we don't know exactly if any shots were fired from the shooter. He used his car as a weapon, is what police were saying. And were there any explosives on that car like we saw in Grand Blanc? Police say they do not know at this time, but they said that there was a fire. Was that fire caused because he was driving so quickly and that something may have exploded into his car? We know that he did ram through the front of the building, and we do know that he got into the building with his vehicle. But again, like you said, a huge sigh of relief from everybody, knowing that he is no longer a threat and knowing that nobody was seriously hurt, that the security guard did sustain injuries, but he is expected to be okay. Meanwhile, what led this person to do this? Was this something that he had planned for a while? Was this something that did he leave any clues behind? Was there any telltale sign that this was going to happen today? That is what they're going to be working out. Was there any kind of manifesto, and what was the motivation? Again, people here just very relieved right now that nobody was seriously injured and that suspect was taken into custody. This has been a very, very fluid situation as we have tried to figure out exactly what's going on. As you know, we're very far away from the synagogue itself, but police, so many of them on the scene, doing their due diligence, trying to figure out exactly what led up to this. But again, a huge sigh of relief that suspect is no longer a threat.
Camille and Mary Forrest live tonight with that. We thank you so much for that report, and we'll continue to check in with you. If you're just joining us, we're approaching the 3 o'clock hour here, and Marielle Liu, along with myself and the whole Fox 2 team, tracking the latest. Now, we can tell you right now, if you're just turning this on your stream, on your phone, on your connected TV, we do have a bit of good news, and the good news is that nobody inside of Temple Israel was hurt, except for a security guard who is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. In the meantime, we can tell you that there was a car in which there was a suspect. That suspect rams the car into Temple Israel. Not clear, Marielle, whether the person took their own life or was shot by a security officer. One of the security officers taken to the hospital. In the meantime, lockdowns have been lifted, and that is the best news we can give you at this hour.
Absolutely. We have Danny Leach on the phone with us now. Danny attends Temple Israel. Danny, are you here?
I am.
How are you feeling right now to watch all this play out on television and to see your place of worship intentionally attacked like this? Take us inside of your mind right now.
Well, it's nice to be with you guys. Obviously, on a very tough day. I grew up a mile away from Temple Israel. I've been there over 300-400 times for bar and bat mitzvahs. My sister was there last night. My brother-in-law's nephew was there today. Luckily, I got some good news from a good friend of mine, Michael Kraft, who was in touch with the teacher inside when everything was going on and the news was spotty, when you guys were reporting everything, to know that the kids were safe. And just to know that a place that I have loved and have attended so many wonderful events and have so many friends that belong there and so many friends that were bar mitzvah or, confirmed there, to see this happen. And the one thing that you guys have been talking about, the incredible police presence and the response, obviously in this very scary new normal, was something to behold. And I feel so grateful for that. But to know that this happened here, and we have such a tight, close-knit Jewish community, and to see this happen, on our home turf is very jarring. It's very depressing. But I'm someone that has always tried to live my life with love and gratitude and understanding. Yeah. And I'll never give up the hope that we can try to come together and have differences, but understand them. But it's still very. It's been a tough day. It's a tough day for so many of us, and I don't think you have to be Jewish today to be upset and be hurt and be heartbroken. But thank God everyone's okay. Thank God the response was great. But it's truly just a crazy world we live in right now, and we've got to adjust. But we can't give up the hope and love to try to come together in any way we can.
And Danny, that is such a great perspective to have, to continue to have gratitude, to continue to hope for just more love and understanding. But can you tell me how it feels on a day-to-day basis? I don't want to say, do you live in fear, but what is it like for you, as it seems that there are more and more attacks? And you mentioned, I go to temple here, I don't expect for this to happen, but is that something that lives in the back of your mind as a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, it's something, like I said, I hate the term new normal, but that's kind of where we're at. I think we all know that.
Sure.
But that being said, guys, it's one of those things where if you live in fear, and I know this is kind of the old adage, but it's the truth. If you live in fear, you're letting the bad people win.
Well, and they didn't today, Danny. I only interrupt politely because we have to go to Dave Spencer, who's live. But Danny Leach, we're glad you're okay. We're glad your family's okay, and we're certainly glad the whole community is okay. We do thank you very generously for your time here today. Dave Spencer, you have someone who you're talking to right now. What do you got?
Yeah, Roop, here. I'm back here at Greenbrier and Walled Lake. Again, the police presence is staggering here. And this is a neighborhood, and clearly there are neighbors here, Jamie Vaughn being one of them, who runs a business out of the home that's just less than a block from where this all transpired. Kind of walk me through your day, when you noticed something was going on, and kind of your reaction to all of it.
I think about 12. I was having a meeting with my secretary, and I just kept hearing police cars pass, and I just kept counting, and the number just kept growing, and I'm like, maybe an accident, and then they just kept growing. So I came outside, and they just would not stop, and I said, something happened, and I heard the officers, they just kept jumping out of the cars and loading up, and they said, active shooter, shots fired.
Well, when they said those words, what was going through your mind, knowing how close this scene was to where you were?
When I saw them cut through the trees, I thought it was something was happening to somebody's house. Then somebody's possibly going to be on the loose. And I had no idea what to think, and the cars were still coming.
Yeah. And they kept on coming. And you said that even though they were parked here a few blocks away, officers were getting out, arming up, and running towards the scene.
Yes, they were running, and they weren't saying anything to anybody, because a couple neighbors came out. Mainly it was just myself at first, and then I decided to go back in the house, and there on the news they said active shooter. I was like, at the temple, I said, oh my gosh. And then more, I guess, families started coming out, and they were stationed here on the sidewalk talking to officers, and I heard the officer, he got kind of loud with them, and it seemed like one mom was frantic, and then all of a sudden they just started running that way.
So these are the parents you were saying, or family members of the kids that were involved in that daycare getting those instructions?
Right, because when I went back in the house, I heard something happened in the daycare, so I was assuming these were parents of the kids.
And then they just took off running, and you can imagine, as any parent would want to know that their child's okay, you could certainly sympathize and empathize with everything they were going through.
Yes, absolutely. I was like, why is this happening? And nothing like this has ever happened over here, and I'm still just in shock.
And you mentioned to me that it just didn't stop. They one police after another, and they still continue to show up even as we're speaking now.
Yes, and I was just like, wow, this is really, really serious. And I saw by the news that it was on fire, and I was like, oh my gosh, and they still just kept coming.
And just to give people a little perspective of how far you are from the temple, it is what, a block, maybe at that?
Probably less.
A minute walk.
Yes.
Wow. And as you're kind of processing this, have police or anybody come up to you, said anything to you at this point?
No, because after the sirens on the phones went off saying to take shelter, we just stayed in the house.
And that's what you did. You listened to those orders. What do you think about this response? I mean, does this restore your faith in law enforcement that they're going to be there if the need rises?
Oh, this was fantastic. I still have never seen, and then this many officers show up this fast. And when my client was able to get here, because he was due to be back here way before that, the driver said that he saw officers coming from Southfield. So I was like, wow, they are on it.
Yeah, we see ATF, Michigan State Police, officers from all over, a mobile command unit right in front of your driveway there. Have you ever seen anything quite like this?
Never.
Unbelievable. Jamie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Glad you're safe and glad everything is kind of restoring or kind of getting back to normal in some capacity here. As we're waiting for more official word from law enforcement, we know that we're going to get another news conference in the coming hours here. But again, the sheer presence of police is staggering at this point, and it's still hard to comprehend it. And we're glad that everything is starting the process of returning back to normal. Back to you guys.
Yeah, that sheer presence of police you speak of obviously speaks to the sheer care that this whole community has for those who have been affected by this, and affected, at least in not the worst way. Instead, people who just simply shaken up in a really bad way, and we understand that. But no one was hurt inside of Temple Israel, and that is good news. As we know right now, the person who was responsible for ramming their car into Temple Israel, that person is dead. Whether that person took their own life or died by the bullets coming from the security guard, still unclear at this hour. We're approaching the 3 o'clock hour. As we approach that hour, let's go live right now to Fox 2's Scott Wolchek. And Scott, you're on the ground as well, and in a different area than Dave. Give us an idea as to what you're seeing in terms of the families and the people in that community and what they're able to do.
Hey, Rip. Yeah, you know what? We're a little bit outside of the staging area here. So we just heard from Sheriff Bouchard, as well as a rabbi visiting from the Friendship Circle, who was friends with a lot of people at Temple Israel. So he gave us a little bit of perspective on the Jewish community. A lot of Jewish community centers have had heightened security with the war and just other types of things like that in the news lately. So they were talking a little bit about the security, the heightened ability to be ready for something like this. Sheriff Bouchard even said that they know the guy who's the head security here at Temple Israel, a former cop, and so he's been on site, he's checked out this. So what we also learned in that press conference, this person was driving a truck. They drove it through the doors, and they got pretty far. They went about 40, 50 feet down the hallway into that building after the security guard shot the suspect. Well, that's when the truck caught on fire, and that's why they are so concerned about, are there IEDs, are there explosives, is there anything like that inside of the truck, which makes you think about what happened in Grand Blanc, unfortunately, because it's one of those things where when a truck catches on fire like that, suddenly they've got to take a whole nother step and another look into what could be going on here. So they're looking into that. Big question I had during the press conference was, did this guy have any weapons? Have we found that out yet? Sheriff said they have not been able to talk about exactly what that is. That's still part of the investigation, but that's something that I want to know, because could this guy's truck have been loaded up with weapons? And obviously they're checking to see if he had any type of explosives. So pretty scary stuff. They did say that while they have been having threats around the Jewish community for the past few weeks, there weren't any direct threats here at Temple Israel leading up to this attack, which is a good thing to hear, but pretty scary. I know a lot of people in the community have been pretty worried about this. A lot of different synagogues, temples have gone on to lockdown, obviously lifted at this point, but still a heightened sense of fear.
Scott Wolchek for us live tonight. Thank you for that. It is 3 o'clock now, and if you're just joining us here on the broadcast, obviously we're in black in the moment, but we'll get back up here in just a second. I just should tell you, if you're listening to me right now, as you probably are, you are watching breaking news coverage of a situation unfolding in West Bloomfield. And as you may have heard, what happened earlier this afternoon was someone inside of a car ramming into Temple Israel. And this now is the aftermath of that scene. Temple Israel, everyone inside, the children, everyone else accounted for. They've been put into different areas where they can be reunited with their loved ones. In the meantime, the gunman in that situation, who was inside of that car, we understand, has been confirmed to have been killed. Whether this person took their own life or in a battle with a security officer, that's not completely confirmed at this hour, but we do know that that person who was trying to do harm and who rammed his car into this building is dead. That is the fatality we know of. Now, in terms of injuries, what do we know? We know right now that one security officer was hurt, taken to the hospital after being hit by that car. So, you know, the moments that happened here as that car was approaching and rammed into Temple Israel, how security officers then came back out. Did this person try to ram the vehicle again, ram people again? All of that is going to become more clear as the investigators give us more information. But at this time, we can tell you all of the children are safe. The people inside of Temple Israel are safe as well. The person who did this is dead. And so from the FBI in Washington all the way to local police from Keego Harbor to Bloomfield Township, everywhere in this area, they are descending on Temple Israel to make sure that everything is good. The relaxed posture right now of the officers, relatively speaking, is because, as the sheriff mentioned, the threat has been neutralized. The person who did this is no longer. And they do not believe, as the sheriff has said just about 25 minutes ago, they do not believe that there is any further threat to the community, inside or outside. In fact, we know that the lockdown has been lifted in Jewish communities, centers, and other areas throughout West Bloomfield, and that is good news. But I can just tell you, driving in, coming from the north of Oakland County and driving down Losser, even Christian schools and public schools, there were police officers standing by outside of those. It speaks volumes about the kind of community we have here in terms of how quickly people come to the aid of not only those who need it most at Temple Israel, but also quickly safeguard other areas of worship and also of learning. And so that is the good news at this hour at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to continue our coverage here. I can tell you right now that there is a statement from FBI Director Kash Patel that he actually released not long ago, saying FBI personnel are on the scene with partners in Michigan responding to the apparent vehicle ramming an active shooter situation out of Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. And so that is good news as well. All right. Let's go over to Sheriff Bouchard, some sound we have of him talking about this situation and what unfolded just a short time ago. Take a listen. We're going to be listening.
The community. It doesn't appear to be anything active. We're still clearing the area.
I know. I said sound.
Clear vehicles for any explosive devices, the building, etc. Unification of the families and the kids are in progress. We've accounted for everybody that we believe was in the building at the time. So we're on path to continue to maybe pivot to, is there anybody else involved, and the investigative side of what's happened.
So you confirmed that it was security that shot and killed the suspect here?
Well, we can't say what killed him at this point, but security did engage the suspect with gunfire.
Did the suspect have a weapon?
We can't get into a lot of that stuff, but he breached the building, drove down the hall, and he was engaged by security.
So do we know, did he ever fire shots, the suspect?
Preliminarily, we have some information, but nothing that we confirm, so we're not going to go into it.
Where did he breach the building, the front?
He drove in through doors with a vehicle.
There was only one person in that vehicle?
That's what it appears at this point.
What do we know about this fire?
Something ignited in the vehicle. That's a work in progress. We're, through an abundance of caution, clearing the vehicle for IEDs or any explosives. We've got a significant number of bomb dogs on site, bomb techs on site, and all of that's going to be done to check the boxes. We have deployed resources all across the county, just in case, out of an abundance of caution, that there may be a secondary site, but we don't have any information at this time to believe that. So we want people to take a breath. No one was hurt. We're on top of it. Chief and his team got here fast. Everything that was supposed to happen happened. Security did their job, and then the responders did theirs.
Sheriff, what did the call come out as?
I believe it came out as an active shooter.
Where and when did you actually visualize the threat? Where was it?
The vehicle's in the hallway of the building. It's inside the building.
The front hallway.
Again, I can't tell you what he died of until we get a little further. We haven't actually gone into the car. It's still being cleared.
So we do know that the security guard shot this shooter. Shot at them, but it's unclear if he was killed by...
Because, in situations like this, you never know. If somebody's trapped, sometimes they kill themselves. So the suspect was engaged. It's the clearest sentence I can give you.
What is the condition of the security officer?
From information I got, he should be okay. He was knocked unconscious.
So tell us about the jurisdictions.
Fired the shot. There were multiple security officers on scene, and the one that was hurt was pulled from that area by his team.
Sheriff Mike Bouchard talking to reporters just about 40 minutes ago. We should tell you in the next couple of hours, we expect by about 5 o'clock to hear another update as the investigators continue the work that they're doing on the ground in West Bloomfield. This all unfolding this afternoon. A very scary scene, as you can see here. A frightening situation as all the children are accounted for, all the people inside Temple Israel accounted for. But sadly, this was just such a traumatizing situation to everybody in the entire Jewish community and the greater community because of what happened inside of Temple Israel earlier this afternoon when a man rammed his car into Temple Israel. That person inside that car, not clear at this hour if they took their own life or a security officer shot at them, and that's how that person was killed and neutralized. But the news here that has brought relief to many people is that the person who did this was neutralized, was taken out, and because of that, they could secure the scene, that situation, and move forward, taking all the kids, all the young people, everyone in that temple, and moving them out of that synagogue. So the good news at this hour, we can report to you that nobody was hurt, nobody was injured outside of a security officer who, by the way, we say non-life-threatening injuries, dealing with that right now after being apparently hit by the vehicle that rammed into the doors of the Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. And so we're working right now with all of our law enforcement agencies to continue to get updates. And as we say, by about 5 o'clock, the lead agency, and this is the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, they'll be with us with another news conference, another update, because the big question that we have right now that we have to unpack and learn, who was this person? What was their intention? Is this pretty much a copycat of what we saw in Grand Blanc when that person rammed their pickup truck into the church out there in Grand Blanc? Sadly, in that situation, you had 4 people who died, and then you had the person himself who was also eventually taken out. In this case, we're talking about a person who obviously was able to do that first step, ram their vehicle into Temple Israel, but then from there, they were neutralized, and that is the good news here. This happened again shortly after noon. The vehicle drove through the front entrance of Temple Israel. The gunman dead inside the car, security guard in the hospital. No one else was hurt. All right. We're bringing in Jessica Dupnack, who's with us here. She's also been following all of this with her police sources as well, and she continues to kind of update all of us on what we're seeing. And Jessica, I know you have been on the phone. We've all been on the phone talking to police sources. Fill in some holes here, some blanks. What are we not talking about?
New information. I was just talking to one of my sources, and as they're unfolding, I think it's important to note that when you're talking about when a vehicle's coming in, there's fire, it takes a minute to secure that situation. So in terms of finding out exactly what's inside of the vehicle, it's going to be a minute. But what I did just learn from one of my sources is they did find some kind of chemical agent inside of usually indicates some kind of bomb. We don't know. We don't want to make that leak quite yet, but they have tested for a chemical agent inside of that truck. That's what I'm learning right now. Again, it's all unfolding, and you're dealing with a kind of chaotic scene, especially inside the vehicle. Fire, gas mask, that kind of thing. It's going to be a minute. But I did just learn that. I'm working to flesh that out a little bit and see exactly what a chemical agent means. It can mean a lot of things, but in this situation, they're treating it as a possible bomb, what maybe would have been a bomb that have gone off, and maybe that's what caused the fire, but some incendiary device.
Well, and it's so important to see what investigators find in terms of what was that? What was that chemical that they found in there? But very good new information for us. I do have to kind of reflect on this with you, Jessica.
Yeah.
We saw, of course, you and I both covered Grand Blanc. We were on the ground there September 28th, you know, and we're talking about, what, 5 months later? The MO of how this began, luckily it ended in a different way, but how this began was by ramming a vehicle into the place of worship. That is something that obviously, in this case, seemed to be a bit of a copycat.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you know anything about this facility, they have barriers on the sidewalk there, but the barriers, unfortunately, are not in front of the vehicles. So it's to stop people from going along the sidewalk, but not necessarily in front of those doors. Yeah, very similar, Rope. You're talking about both situations. There was a truck involved, and that was sort of the MO, and possibly what we're looking at is some explosive device, which was also something that they found in the Grand Blanc shooting. So it's very, very parallel here.
Yeah, and we also know, of course, in a separate non-religious sense, there was a person who had apparently a mental break who then ran their vehicle in Romulus through the airport, through the Delta Gate there. Lauren Edwards is with us live on the ground to tell us more about what she's hearing from people in that area right now. Lauren.
I can tell you that we've been out here at JCC all day just talking to folks, and I have someone next to me, Sam Bennett, thank you so much for joining us, but you say your wife works over in this building.
Yeah, she works at the J behind us here on Drake. She works for J Family, which is an organization within the JCC, and she texted me about 10 minutes before everything seemed to get really crazy to let me know they were in lockdown, and I got here as soon as I could. I was leaving Oakland County Circuit Court, so I just came straight here.
And I know you just reunited with her. You were just hugging her. It was such an emotional moment. Describe what it was like just to hug her.
Just knowing that she's here and she's okay. She wasn't at the temple, but she was here, with the kids who were potentially as a part of what happened, and she's very shaken up. I just want to get home and be with her to make sure she's all right.
Gotcha, and I'm assuming kids and families were shaken up as well, because this is absolutely tough and awful.
It's really tough because, if Temple Israel can get attacked, any of us can, because it's a very, very safe place. There's a long driveway to get into it, so it's definitely a very scary situation. So we're all just on hyper vigilant about everything.
And I just have to ask, though, what was it like when you first heard and you got that alert, or you got the text message from your wife that, the tragedy had occurred, and fortunately, again, no victims in all of this, but still, in terms of the kids and the teachers and the staff, but what were your first thoughts?
Anita Blanton here in Studio 32. We have been watching the coverage from our sister station there in Detroit, as they have been covering calls initially for an active shooter there in the West Bloomfield Township at a synagogue there. A Temple Israel synagogue has one of the largest congregations of Jewish people in the country. The call went out for an active shooter shortly before 1 o'clock their time, or about an hour behind them. The Oakland County Sheriff, in a press conference just a short time ago, said even though this is an evolving situation, here's the information they have thus far. He says that a truck rammed the facility, that there was a breach, and that person drove down the hall, was engaged by security. There were several members
2:18 right now, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us through our extended coverage of a developing situation right now in Bloomfield, Michigan, as we've been watching that since about the 12:30 time frame there. Calls that went out initially for an active shooter situation at a Jewish synagogue in that area, Temple Israel. What we know from the authorities who were there in that area, the Oakland County Sheriff says even though it's an evolving situation, what they know at this point in time is that a truck rammed into that facility, which is not only a synagogue but also a school for young children, that it breached the building, drove down the hall, one individual inside who was engaged by security. They do not know whether that person shot at police, but they do know police did, or security in that area did make shots toward that person, and that the person is deceased. They don't know whether the person was taken out by the police, I guess is what I'm trying to get across to you there. There was a fire, though, that ignited from the vehicle. They said something in the vehicle ignited, although they're not giving more information about that right now. The lead security guard there was hit and taken to the hospital, knocked unconscious, but no children nor staff that were inside of that building. Miraculously, none of them were injured from this situation. They are still clearing the area. At this point in time, you're not even seeing as much of a police presence as at the height of it. They have set up a reunification with families. That is ongoing right now at this time, and they do expect another press conference in about 2 hours here. But that's the latest information we have there from, again, Bloomfield Township, Michigan, as we have been watching that situation play out for about the last hour and a half here. We are going to continue on with our conversations here on Chicago Live, so appreciate you staying with us. I'm Anita Blanton, your host, and I'll be with you through 4 o'clock. We're actually awaiting another press conference that should be happening any moment now. This brings us back to our area, and more specifically Kankakee. The governor, as you're seeing here, some of the damage from the what we know now is an EF3 tornado that came through northwest Indiana and also the southern portion of Illinois, Kankakee, more specifically Kankakee County. The Governor Pritzker, is going to be touring this area and giving a press conference any moment now. It was set up for 2:15. Obviously, as we say quite often here on the show, most of the politicians that have a lot of different things on their calendar throughout the day, you might not hit that time right on the head, but you can see there that the media outlets are already set up and ready for that press conference just as soon as the governor arrives and is ready. You could just see in the area all of the damage. There's slabs in some places where homes once stood. There's tree branches down all over the place. There are pieces of memories for so many people that are strewn all over the place. Our crews have been covering this now for the last 24 hours here, and you can just see those piles of debris. You know, those piles hold quite a bit of things that were in people's homes just 24 hours ago here. So again, the National Weather Service has gone through Kankakee to Lake Village, and they have confirmed that it was an EF3 tornado that hit parts of Illinois and Indiana. Unfortunately, for the Indiana side of this, we did lose 2 people. It was an elderly couple, an 89-year-old man, an 84-year-old woman that we lost in the midst of these storms and that tornado. On the Illinois side of things, we know that about 9 people were injured as a result of the tornado that went through there. A supercell that then kind of spawned off into 4 different tornadoes. And so, one may have been an EF1. We know this was an EF3, but so much damage that's left in its wake, so much cleanup that people have to undergo now as they try to get their lives back for those who have that opportunity. And you can see some of that cleanup already starting here. We have been watching as neighbors have been helping neighbors. People have been coming to the area and dropping off donations already. And I will tell you that the Red Cross is also set up in that area as well for people to get a little respite, but also as a place for you to drop off donations, because just going through the neighborhoods there, you could honestly hinder some of the efforts for some of the first responders who have been out in that area. One, trying to keep people safe, You still have a lot of down power lines. You still have some danger in the area, even once the storm passes. So there have been crews that have been out, but also because these folks are in more of a vulnerable position as well. When all of your stuff is kind of sitting out and kind of thrown all over the place, they don't want anyone to take advantage of the situation that they are in right now and make it any worse. These folks have been through enough. So even one of our crews first thing this morning went on a ride along with Sergeant Glenn Fifield, who does a wonderful job in Indiana, and he kind of helped us see some of the things, some of the cleanup effort that still needs to get underway for many people. So this is just the beginning stages. Yesterday when we talked to people, they were still in shock from what had taken place just the night before. You can hear about severe weather coming your way. The meteorologists for sure prepped us all for what we knew would be a rough night for everyone, but you still just never think that it will be you that ends up in this situation where it's your home that gets hit, where it's your belongings sitting out on a curb, where it's your life that now kind of gets put upside down in an instant, or in the case of those poor folks in Indiana, that it's your family that gets hit by the tornado, and you end up mourning a loved one. So it is again a tough situation for many people, whether it was your family members who were lost, or your family members, or you who have to rebuild again. It's a tough situation for a lot of people right now in both Indiana and Illinois, and we know that both governors, Governor Mike Braun and also Governor J.B. Pritzker, had set aside time today to assess the storm damage, to speak with emergency management agencies in their respective states, and to speak with the media about what they are seeing. I believe that Governor Braun was anticipated to go through the hardest hit areas of Indiana about 1:30, but again, we were in our extended coverage for the horrible situation that took place in Michigan at that time. But again, Governor Pritzker was scheduled for 2:15 to be in Kankakee to assess the damage there and to speak to local officials and the media to talk about the long road ahead. We know that this area has already requested disaster funding, and of course that sets off new portions of a conversation here, whether it be about the statewide funds that may be available for them, or even, the questions about getting federal funding to them as well. So we are, again, just waiting on a press conference to begin any moment now. And just as soon as that does begin, we will take that to you, bring that to you live here on the air. We have seen so much from our drone footage high up above of just wreckage, just a wide swath of damage. You see EF3 tornadoes in lots of areas, say toward Oklahoma or places like that. But to see an EF3 tornado come through our area, that's a lot. We are starting to hear from, oh my goodness, and see the families who have been reunified in Michigan, and what an emotional situation they have been through. You can see those parents holding on to their babies, and for sure, when you speak of people who have been through so much, I can't even imagine the moments that they have had today. Again, that Temple Israel in Michigan, one of the largest Jewish congregations in the nation, that also has a school, and you could see there those mothers, those fathers, those caregivers who are, in a sense, overjoyed that they can, walk away with their children from the reunification location that was set up for them, but that they have to also just have their stomachs in a knot from the type of day that it has been, getting the call that your child was anywhere near, these babies here, anywhere near a place where a call for an active shooter came out I just cannot imagine. And you can even see on some of their faces that many have been crying today, as you would imagine. I mean, what they have been through getting that phone call and running to the school. This is one of those situations, you talk about things that, you might see somewhere else and you never think it's going to be you. This is another one of them, right? You might see something like Uvalde, and the minute you get a phone call to hear that your child is in a school where an active shooter response is taking place, it just has to be horrific. But again, no children, no staff members were hurt in this situation there in Michigan today, thank goodness. No children, no staff members were hurt in that situation, but still nightmare of a situation in and of itself, just to have a vehicle breach the building, go through the building, drive down the hall, and have something ignite inside. At one point in time, there were huge plumes of smoke that were coming out of that building there for Temple Israel. Still getting in more and more information, but without a doubt, the best information of the day has to be that those children and staff members were okay in the midst of it all. I do believe that Governor Pritzker is now speaking in Kankakee, touring the area. Let's watch and listen into a bit of this.
There's so many structural features that home cannot be deoccupied, or major damage also is significant.
It's hard to do immediately because you can see a wall standing up that might fall down, but it might look like it's perfectly fine.
That's right. That's right. So, and of course, we continue at the state, at IEMA, to be a support partner to Kankakee County, who leads the coordination effort. And again, I know it was said earlier, Governor, I have to say this. We believe Kankakee County's coordination was absolutely fantastic in terms of the local partners. IEMA was requested within an hour of the storm, and so we had staff here within 2 hours. We continue to support the county and our local municipalities. Mayor, can you tell us a bit more about this end of town that we're in, and how many folks?
This wasn't the worst area over on this side. Over on the other side, there's a lot more, but it's like it dropped over there, came back up, and we dropped here and did what it wanted to do. That's like you were saying, house over there is destroyed, hardly anything wrong with this house, and this house is destroyed. So, you don't know what it's going to do. I've had several people tell me that some of the things they've seen is just amazing, and they can't explain how it happened or why it happened.
What about the other utilities? I mean, we got obviously power is an issue. We got other utilities that have been affected by the
Nightcore gas was out that night. Cable company's been out today. I see if they can get their internet service back. Can't move back into their house. Just like the story.
It seems like the coordinated life safety, public safety was critical, right? Because we had no doubt. Second to none. No doubt. It was, again, the advance notice was certainly a huge plus because we were literally, we all see all these warnings about storms and snow and tornadoes, and none of them ever happen. Right. We prepare for every one of them. Yeah. Were you also?
No, I'm not. I'm her granddaughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was helping me.
Good. How are
What's
you?
your name?
Addison. Yeah, we're just helping her out with everything.
And oh my gosh.
Her and her husband were here.
Yep.
And where are you staying now?
I was staying at my son's house last night and tonight, and then we'll just wait and see what's next. We're just doing one day at a time. trying to get through this.
Were you were in the home when it happened, and could you hear it? Tell me what happened?
It was like, they always said like the train thing, and it was exactly like that. It was so loud. The only thing that I thought it would go by fast, and this seemed to be big, and it kept going by slow, and it was just terrorizing, just sitting there waiting for it to pass. But
and did you have a basement here? Do you have a room that you went into? What did you do?
I immediately, when we realized something was happening, I went into the bathroom and I got the bathtub. My husband was at the front door, and he shut the door pushed him. And he stepped back in the hallway, and as he did, that whole half the house just went. So he was just seconds away. He would have been hit. Yep.
Wow. And then it just passed as fast as it showed up, or what happened?
It felt like it lasted. I don't know. It just felt, and everything was cracking, and it was just horrible.
Did you ever experience anything
No.
at all? And how did you know to get into the bathtub? I mean,
I don't even know. I guess I've heard that, and I knew we didn't have anywhere to go, and luckily my grandson and my great grandson and my granddaughter had left, so they weren't there. I have a 1-year-old living with me.
Again, they're listening in as the Governor J.B. Pritzker tours Kankakee, hit so hard by an F3 tornado that came through just the night before last, and listening both to the mayor of Kankakee moments ago, talking about the many homes that were destroyed, the gas that was out, power that was out for so many, and now hearing from some of the residents themselves as they, still absorb everything that's taken place and the hard work that they have ahead to get back to some semblance of normalcy again. But again, he is continuing on with that tour in the area. As I said, Governor Mike Braun was also scheduled in the 1 o'clock hour to do much of the same in Indiana. But I want to turn our conversation now to the situation that's still developing there in Michigan. We want to go back to that situation as we now have the regional director of ADL Michigan who is joining me, Elisa Schmier. Thank you so much for taking the time out on what's been a pretty chaotic day for many. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me what's going through your mind hearing about the events of the day in Michigan. I believe you have a personal connection to that temple, that synagogue.
Yeah, my family is 4th generation congregant of Temple Israel. It is our second home. We go there for Shabbat. We've had family celebrations there. It's where we go to gather to find community. And we're absolutely heartbroken by what has happened today. The Jewish community in Metro Detroit is super close-knit. We're not the largest community, but we're incredibly interconnected. And I think that, we're feeling a lot of fear and anxiety and sadness with what happened today. And that kind of strikes at the feeling that we have had for a number of years now as anti-Semitism in the state and around the country has risen.
Yeah, because we don't know that the attack that took place today, that's necessarily connected to the conflict happening overseas right now, because there were already attacks on the Jewish community before that conflict even started in Iran.
Yes, of course. Yes. There's been more than 9,000 anti-Semitic incidents around the country. A couple of hundred of those in the last year happened here in Michigan. So obviously this is not something that is new to us. We're incredibly grateful to law enforcement, especially the armed security at Temple Israel, who I know personally, who were right there immediately when this happened. But I think the fact that my synagogue needs armed security in the first place is just one example of the many ways that Jews in America are under attack, and that our safety is of top concern to us. This is not a normal thing to have to walk into a house of worship and have armed guards out front, but it's a reality for us every single day.
Elisa, that was the next point of conversation that I wanted to have with you, and whether it's a synagogue or just churches throughout the country, it has been a period of adjustment over the last several years to have armed security at these places of worship where years ago, you went for respite. You went for, those moments of clarity, of feeling free. And now you do have armed security at the door. Was that a hard transition for you, even though maybe a necessary one for the church and for places of worship as they stand now?
I just think it's a reality. It's not something that is strange to me. Even years ago when I was growing up, at least during the high holiday services or major events, you would have local police parked outside or in the general area of where the synagogue is. So I think it's a sad reality, but one that is very much real. And we're incredibly grateful to the people who, many of them not Jewish, who often stand in the front of these buildings and are willing to take the bullets for us just to keep us safe so we can pray to our God and celebrate our religion and culture.
Yeah, and of course, Temple Israel, not just a synagogue, but a school. And yes. I mean, how heartbreaking. We saw moments ago these families who have been, it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. See these families who have been reunified with their children coming out of the reunification point. Tell me about the everyday kind of workings of Temple Israel, again, with that dual purpose.
Yeah, so there is a preschool in Temple Israel. It's a wonderful, joyful, beautiful place. I know a number of children that attend that preschool. I know a number of the teachers. It is a place where you celebrate Jewish joy, where the children play, where they sing songs and they learn. And I think that the fact that 3, 4, 5-year-old Jewish children now have this trauma and this reality that they have faced is beyond heartbreaking. We need to be building a safer, more secure future for our children, and we need people to stand up and fight alongside us for that. It's the most important thing.
Yeah, with these incidents on the rise, again, just speaking in sad realities, how do you speak differently to your children versus maybe a generation past?
I think, when I was growing up, my parents, for the most part, talked about anti-Semitism as something in the past, right? And that is just not something that I can talk to my child about in that type of way. It is a reality. He's luckily too young to really fully understand this. But it is something that we're going to have to talk to him about how he moves through the world, why there are guards outside of his preschool, the safety concerns of our community. But the most important thing that we try and instill in our children is to walk through the world as proud, loving Jews. The security aspect of it, the safety aspect of it, is real, and as we saw today, a deep concern. But we also want our children to know that this is a beautiful religion. It's a religion of love and peace, and we want them to delight in that because at the end of the day, that's the most important piece. And so we're safeguarding that for a reason. And I think that we talk to our children about what generations of Jews have gone through and how to make sure that doesn't happen in the future.
Absolutely. We would love for this to never happen again. And I'm sure a lot of people are still absorbing even what just took place. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. I hate that it's under these circumstances, but thank you for giving me your time today in the midst of it all.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Everyone, it's 2:43 right now. Like I said, we're dealing with a lot of big, very serious topics today. We're going to take a 2-minute break, though. We're going to get into the case that has a lot of people talking about what's true and what's fiction right after this. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It is 2:45 right now on a very busy day. We have been covering quite a few really big topics today. I want to bring your attention back, though, to a situation from a few days ago. Okay, there was a woman, a Skokie woman, whose family says that she was detained by ICE for nearly 48 hours after landing at O'Hare. There's a lot of questions about that story. It has been disputed by the Department of Homeland Security, but I want to get to Alice Nguyen from the Chicago Tribune, who's been following the ins and outs of this more in detail. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you.
Alice, tell me what you have found out about this story thus far.
Yeah, so continuous conflicting accounts. What we do know is that this woman, her sister, and her friend Kevin Morrison, who's also a Cook County commissioner, have shared screenshots that allegedly show her location pinging to O'Hare, Broadway, and Dodge County, Wisconsin, which is where she says she was ultimately released and had to hitchhike. We also know that DHS, as of last night, has released screenshots of footage that they say show her exiting CPB custody before noon Thursday, which is when she arrived earlier that morning. We know that SAP, the woman's purported employer, according to her LinkedIn page that has now been taken down, denies that she ever worked there. We still don't have any, concrete proof of what happened during those 48 hours, and that's what we're continuing to dig at.
And Kevin Morrison, just so we're clear, yes, is a commissioner, a Cook County commissioner, but he's also running for Congress right now.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so have we talked to him about his connection to this situation?
Yeah, he is childhood friends with this woman and her older sister, who has been helping get her story out there. and he helped organize a protest Friday evening when she says that she was held at Broadview, which has been, the site of roiling protests throughout Operation Midway Blitz in the Chicago area last fall. And he also held a press conference on Sunday after she was purportedly released by DHS.
And in hearing from DHS, what is their account of this?
They say that after she landed Thursday morning, after flying into O'Hare, that she was briefly taken into a secondary screening and then released within 90 minutes. And then after that, she was out of CPB custody, according to the government. But I would like to note that they also released an initial statement that they retracted that had a little more detail to the narrative and said that she left the airport through the general exit.
And they even released pictures of all of this.
Yes, last night.
Okay, and the pictures have timestamps on them. So have we circled back with the Skokie woman at the center of it all since DHS refuted her claims?
Yeah, we looked at the images, although we're still trying to request, actual surveillance footage since the images are rather blurry. But yeah, we are trying to, reach out to the woman and her family for more information. But so far, our story last night is the most recent update we have.
Because they're saying, hey, here's the receipts. This didn't happen. So I would just wonder, if they were somehow incorrect in their belief, I kind of would have been the first one at a mic to say, no, let me share some receipts of how this actually went down. But thus far, we haven't heard back from her.
So far, we don't have, receipts from either side that could really show a video of, her inside the airport. We just have DHS sharing these two stills from last night and her purported screenshot of her location ping to O'Hare.
I mean, this is a pretty stunning set of developments. Obviously, you have an agency that is in the midst of quite a bit of controversy right now. It is at the center of partial government shutdown right now. As you mentioned, Broadview being at the center of many protests over the years, but that doesn't mean that every single account we hear this is the point of kind of going through things so that we know what is fact, what isn't fact. And I would never want to say that her story isn't fact, but at the same time, I would want to hear her dispute their side of it.
Yeah, well, I don't know as of now what's going on here. I will say, witnessing and reporting on Operation Midway Blitz the past few months, Chicago is still reeling from the federal government's actions here on our immigrant communities. And there is, I feel like, a trauma and instinct there in a lot of people who, whether they are reviewing this woman's story or other stories, to, kind of jump into that mode that was happening all of last fall, where there were, protests almost every day at Broadview, and stories that were very stunning and remarkable in terms of how much overreach the federal government was doing in our communities.
And so many of those stories have been proven time and time again. There were so many things that even went to court, and the judges sided with the people who were there. But speaking of court, again, not to say that this story that the woman has alleged is fully inaccurate, but you do bring up in your article that she has had a run-in with the law before.
Correct. In Cook County, she was charged with making a false report and pleaded guilty, but and then sentenced to probation. And then after that, the case was dismissed.
Okay. So that again, it's not to say that someone who maybe has a story that was proven false in the past couldn't be telling the truth this time around, but there is a lot of evidence that's stacking up on the other side that that you have to sift through. So there's a lot of questions here, and this story went far and wide, correct?
Yeah, it definitely caught the attention of a lot of candidates for next week's primary. It caught the attention of a lot of local elected officials who were very concerned by the allegations in the story and tried to help.
Yeah, trying to help, and you've got to have all of the information in order to actually help someone if they actually need your help. So, okay, I hope that you're staying on this. I would imagine you are staying on this for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so hopefully we get some more information and kind of get to the bottom of it all. Again, I would think if this were me, I had this to happen, and DHS said nope, it didn't happen. I would be the first one to be contacting you to say no, I need to tell more of my story. So we'll see what happens from here. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your reporting. I think, and let me ask you this before I let you go. How hard do you think it is becoming now when stories just kind of get out there and go at a rapid pace to slow things down and do this type of reporting to say, well, let's look at some more facts?
Yeah, I would say in this day and age, the digital age, I feel a lot more pressure and rush to get the story out and beat my competitors, because whether they are publishing online first versus print, they might be going on Twitter to post first. But the old adage of journalism is it's always better to be right than to be first. With some stories, we don't even after the first day, the first pass, the third day, we don't fully know the scope. So it's always good to just take your time with these things.
Absolutely. Those are tried and true lessons. So thank you so much for your time. Please keep us updated on what happens from here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. It's about 2:55. That is so important. And it is. I mean, maybe we don't say it out loud, but we definitely say it in newsrooms all the time. It is better to be right than to be first. So if it takes a moment for you to get all of the facts before they get put out, where it's just going to spread like wildfire, it's better to be right than to be first. She is so right about that. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be right back. I'll set you up for what we are anticipating in the 3 o'clock hour here on Chicago Live. Okay, 2:57 right now, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Chicago Live today. It has been a bit of a different situation here on the show today as we have been following major breaking news out of Michigan where a gunman rammed his truck into West Bloomfield Township Synagogue there, the Temple Israel. We do know at this point in time that all of the children and the staff members who were inside of that synagogue at this time are uninjured, okay, physically. All right. We saw reunification with parents, and you could just see the stunning look on their face that we have honestly come to know all too well, sadly, here in this country. But physically, they are okay. But this man breached the building, drove down the hall. The sheriff says something ignited inside of that vehicle. He was approached by security inside there, and they don't know how he died, but he is deceased, okay? But still a stunning turn of events in the middle of the day there in Michigan. And so I want to bring in now Jay Kath, who is the Executive Vice President at JUF, to talk to me a little bit about how the Jewish community is receiving this news today. Thank you so much for being here, especially with the last minute call in the midst of a chaotic day.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I asked just off the top here how you're doing and how you're feeling about this news.
It is unfortunately but the latest example in a rash of violent attacks against Jewish institutions in this country, but also abroad. Attacks in Norway and Belgium in the recent days, 2 shootings at Toronto synagogues, and now, of course, the latest in the Detroit suburb. It is not a coincidence that preschool, that synagogue had security. Why does it have security? Because every Jewish institution today needs to spend more than ever before on security. It is an unfair Jewish tax being imposed on our Jewish community. Thankfully, in this incident, the perpetrator used not just his car, but a rifle. There were explosives in the trunk. Nonetheless, as you indicated, no innocent was injured other than, let's not forget, one of the security guards who was knocked unconscious by the vehicle, but is expected to have a full, quick recovery.
And we certainly hope that security guard is able to make a full recovery for sure. Do you approach going to synagogue? Do you approach activities with your fellow Jewish members different after seeing things like this? I mean, when we watch the attacks that were on the beach, overseas, do you approach things differently, especially in the immediacy after situations like this?
Not really, because our communities confronted these threats for all too long. It was less than 10 years ago that there were 11 Jews killed while praying at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. We know from the Chicago Commission on Human Relations report on anti-Semitism, there's been an astronomical increase in attacks on Jewish institutions and Jewish individuals. That is why that synagogue, that preschool in Detroit, was doing its responsibility to its members and its students by having armed guards there. No other community is as targeted as we are. And while we don't know the motivation behind this attack, and we need to be cautious, at the same time, it's a moment for warning. Hopefully those on the far, far right and those on the far, far left who demonize Jews, who demonize Israel, will take a moment and reconsider, because clearly words have potentially deadly implication. When we hear globalize the Intifada, that is a dog whistle, that is code for go attack individual Jews and go attack Jewish institutions. Today is but the latest example of that.
Do you feel like the conflict in Iran is going to ramp this up?
we see people acting out on both the far, far right and the far, far left as emotions are spiked because of developments in the Middle East, and we Jews are being blamed for what's going on over there. There's a direct correlation between those false accusations of Jewish responsibility and attacks on Jews. And those false claims of responsibility against us, slanderous lies, come from both the extreme right and the extreme left.
So what would you like people who are not Jewish to take from today to help the Jewish community moving forward?
Thank you. I believe nothing more spectacular or nothing more simple than reach out to that Jewish family member, perhaps, a neighbor, colleague, friend, someone you went to college with way back when, and just say how outraged you are at this and earlier attacks against Jews, and reassure the Jewish acquaintance of yours that we don't stand alone. A recent study found that 1/3 of American Jews don't believe that non-Jews will stand up for us when we are attacked. It's up to non-Jews to have us reverse that number.
Everyone needs an ally. I truly believe in what you just said, that we do not stand alone. Thank you so much for your time. Again, my prayers for you and your community during this tough time of seeing this happen yet again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. It's 3:04, everyone. Our next guest is already on the line. We have a very interesting conversation to come on the opposite side of the break with the one and only Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 3:06 right now, and today we are bringing back one of our favorite professors out there to ChicagoLIVE. Let me just kind of set this up, okay? We have quite the conversation ahead. It's really got a lot of people going in the age of disclosure. The FBI has now joined the search for a retired Air Force general who has been missing for nearly 2 weeks. Did I mention he's a UFO expert? Cue the controversy and the conspiracy theories. And we have Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb with us yet again. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. We always love having you here.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Let's get into this. What do you think is going on here?
I'm not too suspicious about the circumstances here. It could be something mundane. According to the Air Force, McCausland held some of the most sensitive positions in the U.S. military. He was an engineer with degrees from the U.S. Air Force Academy, from MIT, from Harvard, and had a number of high-level posts during his career. He served as the chief engineer of the Department of Defense global GPS system, global positioning system program, and then director of the Space-Based Laser Project Office and director of special programs of the Pentagon. And he also commanded the Air Force Research Lab at the Wright-Patterson Air Base. And that's a base that was rumored to house extraterrestrial debris related to Roswell and potentially other incidents, despite denials from the Air Force. But you know, he was retired, and I see no connection between that and President Trump's announcement directive to the Pentagon to release or declassify any of the information they have with respect to unidentified anomalous phenomena or UFOs. Because that's actually a very positive development in which perhaps transparency will prevail. And it makes no sense that someone will try to kidnap or harm a person who knows more about it. The way I see it, it must be unrelated, and I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about the UFO connection in this case.
You know, I mean, I think people look at it like the timing might suggest someone doesn't want that information to get out.
Yeah, but given that the highest level, of the political system and the White House is now authorizing the release of information, I find it hard to believe that there will be factions within government who are trying to sabotage that effort. And that's obviously a narrative that was promoted by conspiracy theorists, but I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I think we should focus on the substance, which is, let's see what the declassified information contains. Let's hope that there will be some public disclosure of what the U.S. government either knows, through imagery from its satellites or ground-based observatories, or from materials collected over the decades. I'm really trying to focus here on the positive prospects for us to learn much more, rather than worry about someone within government trying to harm individuals with that knowledge. I don't think that's likely. There is also a very interesting development with respect to other data that we have. For example, 3i Atlas, this interstellar object is coming closest to Jupiter next week on March 16th, and after that it will head out of the solar system. And this morning I listed the 22 anomalies associated with this guest that we had from outside the solar system. And these are things that we don't fully understand, that many comet experts that insist that it is a natural comet do not attempt to explain. And I think it's fascinating to consider those. And one that came out just a couple of days ago has to do with a mass budget discrepancy. We now know the inferred diameter of the nucleus of 3i Atlas. It's 2.6 kilometers, roughly the size of a city. We also have an estimate for if it's a natural comet, how big is the population that provided it. And it turns out that the amount of mass that you need to account for that population is it exceeds the reservoir of mass in planetary disks around the stars, and by several orders of magnitude. So here is a new puzzle that is not explained, and it's quite serious, because it's at least a factor of 1,000 discrepancy. In addition to the geometric rarities of 3i Atlas, it came in the plane of the planets. Its arrival was fine-tuned for it to come close to Mars and Jupiter, and then images from the Hubble Space Telescope illustrate that, imply that it has 3 symmetric jets around the nucleus, which in addition to the anti-tail that we know about, and the rotation axis of this object was pointed towards the sun. We know that it came roughly from the direction of the WOW signal detected back in 1977. It also has some chemical, composition anomalies associated with nickel with very little iron, like we find in industrially produced nickel alloys. Also, there seemed to be methane visible coming out of it after it came closest to the sun, but not before that. And the question is, does it carry any life on it? Because that's a biosignature. And so there are many different anomalies in addition to its large mass and large speed and unusual polarization. And all in all, I think what this illustrates is that the nature of this object remains mysterious, and it's just easy to insist that it's a natural comet while ignoring these anomalies. But it's the responsibility of scientists and NASA officials to acknowledge the existence of unexplained puzzles. And altogether, science is fun as long as you treat life as a learning experience.
That's really a really big statement there, and we thank you, your team. We were speaking with the European Space Agency a few days ago. We thank them, their team, for being the type of scientists who don't ignore the anomalies. All right, before I let you go, I have to ask you if you could give me a percentage as to how confident you are that the U.S. government will just do a data drop on the anomalies that they have found over the years. What would that percentage be?
I would give it a 40% chance because I'm an optimist. Because there were so many decades where they didn't provide any hint as to what they may have. And the fundamental question is, what do they have? Is there substance? And according to a lot of reliable people, including former President Obama and current President Trump, there is something there that is not fully understood by the Pentagon or the intelligence agencies. There is certainly something there that they know that we don't know. And, I would love to help them figure it out, because if it has nothing to do with adversarial nations, it should be put as a challenge to scientists like myself to figure it out and help them explain it. The government is not a scientific organization. Also, the corporations that they may have shared the data with, they don't have the best minds that can help them figure things out. So I would love to help them. Even if they ask me to sign a non-disclosure agreement, I would do it because I'm very curious. I want to know whether we have a neighbor that will potentially bring us to a better place. We might, when we go on a date, it's much better to aim high and hope that the dating partner will be more intelligent than we are, because then we can learn from it. So I very much hope the US government has information about a dating partner from another star that is more accomplished than we are. And that would be amazing, first to know about, and second to interpret. And it will bring humanity as a whole to a better place, I think, because it will change the priorities that we have.
Well, humanity definitely needs to be at a better place for sure. Thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate it. As always, I'm sure we'll be calling you back again sometime soon. You take care, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Okay, all right. And when we speak of humanity needing to be at a different place or a better place, President Trump and First Lady Melania are now speaking about that attack at Temple Israel earlier today. Let's listen in.
To all of the young women, entrepreneurs, and future leaders, make time for yourself, educate yourself daily, and spread your passion. Be courageous and take risks. Advance your profession through inspiration. Be a bold chief executive while keeping your family, if you choose so, at the center of your nation's future. And now, it is my privilege to introduce our Commander-in-Chief, who throughout his career has demonstrated a strong commitment to promoting women in leadership roles. Please welcome the President Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much. Movie star, can you believe this? Can you believe it? That wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to have a nice, normal life. But she's terrific and big success. And I think it was #1 last night streaming. It went on streaming last night. It was #1. So I don't know. Maybe she's getting a little too big for the White House. We'll have to think about it. Anyway, thank you, honey. She really is something. I want to really congratulate you, and I want to thank everyone for being here today. You're very exciting. It's always exciting to be with you. We love women. Women are the whole deal, okay? And today is very special because we celebrate Women's History Month. That's what it's about every year. And before we begin, I want to send our love to the Michigan Jewish community and all of the people in Detroit area following the attack on the Jewish synagogue early today. And I've been fully briefed, and it's a terrible thing, but it goes on. We're going to be right down to the bottom of it. It's absolutely incredible that things like this happen. On another front, an entirely different front, the situation with Iran is moving along very rapidly. It's doing very well. Our military is unsurpassed. There's never been anything like it. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we're doing what has to be done. Should have been done during a 47-year period. Could have been done by a lot of different people. They chose not to do it. But they really are a nation of terror and hate. And they're paying a big price right now. We're honored to be joined.
So again, we were listening into President Trump, just to make it a little bit more clear. They are having a White House event recognizing Women's History Month, but he took just a moment there in his introductory portion of his speech to the crowd to, as he says, give love to Michigan and the Jewish community there, coming off of the horrible attack there at Temple Israel Synagogue earlier today in West Bloomfield Township. I also just received a statement from Governor J.B. Pritzker as the president was speaking. It says, "I'm horrified to learn of the shooting at Temple Israel in Michigan. We must all condemn this unacceptable violence and ensure the Jewish community can worship without fear of attack, praying for everyone's safety and thinking of the victims and those affected as we learn more." Again, we are still waiting to learn more information about all of the things, the motive and exactly what took place there at that synagogue today. We know that a man rammed his truck into the building, that he is deceased. They don't know exactly how he died, whether it was from the security guards who opened fire or some other means, but that truck had something in it that ignited into fire inside of the building. And we do know that all of the children, all of the staff members who were inside were able to get out safely, but one of the security guards was knocked unconscious in the midst of the chaos that unfolded there. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to get to our next guest, who is on the line right now. Welcome back, everyone. 3:23 right now. Something super cool, honestly, is happening at Northwestern University. You know, we talk so often, really every day, in some kind of way about AI and whether it's used for good or whether it can be used for bad. And so at Northwestern, they actually have an AI major that is beginning, that just began. And so we have Professor Samir Kuller, the chair of computer science, who is joining me now to tell us a little bit about what students are learning there. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for inviting me to join to talk about this new and exciting major that we just announced.
Tell me about the discussion to even have this major. Like, how long has this been in the works to get to this point where it's an actual thing?
Oh gosh, the discussions for this, I would say, started in earnest about 2 years ago, in spring of 2024. And as you know, creating any new degree program requires conversations with many faculty on campus, especially a program in AI, which is interdisciplinary. And so we needed to get feedback and engagement from multiple players on campus. And the proposal was finally submitted in summer of 2025 to the campus, and the provost approved it last week, and it was announced on Monday.
What was the thought process in trying to fight to have this degree?
Well, the thinking was that, the world, as you know, is rapidly evolving. AI is reshaping every single industry, whether it be finance or in healthcare or in society. And so we felt like thinking about how to prepare students for this evolving landscape and what will be important 5 years from now was to prepare them directly to go work for companies producing some of the latest and best tools. And so the thinking was that we really need a major focus on AI. It has many different components. For example, students begin to understand that these systems that they're building are going to be deployed and impacting society. So they need to have a component of ethics, which is a required part of the program. For example, that's just one example of the difference. We hope to connect with industry to define capstone projects that our students can be involved in during their senior year before they graduate, so they work on real products.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit more about the coursework. Like, what will students be getting into during the time of understanding AI better?
So the initial coursework for the program is very similar to the computer science major. So the core courses that they take in the beginning are almost identical. So a student, when they start out as freshmen, they could go either direction with this degree, at least in terms of the initial courses that they take. But building upon after they've taken the initial core courses, they could start specializing in taking courses on building large language models, computer vision-based systems, robotics, knowledge representation. So AI is a very vast field. And so once they sort of go in that direction, then their coursework begins to diverge a little bit. Also, taking courses on computing and ethics and responsible AI is a critical component of this program. And hopefully that will give them a better understanding of how the landscape is quickly evolving, and for them to be able to go work for some of the top technology companies, of which the U.S. is obviously a leader at.
How rare is this major in the U.S. right now?
So when we started thinking about it, I looked around actually in late fall 2023, and I think there was one program at the time offering a major in AI. But in the last few months, several schools have announced these. So I would say, UC San Diego, University of Pennsylvania, Purdue University. These are some of the ones that announced it in the last year or so. Yeah. Some of them last fall.
Mm-hmm. And it is a bachelor's program, right? So it's not like, okay, if I already have a computer science degree, I can come back and get this on top of that.
Correct. So for that, we have a solution as well. So this is a 4-year bachelor's program. A student can just do a Bachelor of Science in AI, or they could do a Bachelor of BA in something else and add this as a second major. So both options exist. For students who already have a degree in computer science and want to specialize in AI, we offer a whole new master's program in AI, which is a 4-quarter program. So if they were to start in September 2026, they would finish in December 2027.
Would you recommend that now for people? I mean, I remember like when, my brother got a computer science degree and, the AI was not a part of the discussion. That was, so many years ago. But now, would you recommend that people who have that kind of degree, maybe this is the thing that you want to specialize in, add that on so that you're a little bit more marketable?
Yes, absolutely. So you could either just take a master's degree in AI right now. Northwestern, as well as a few other universities, offer it. Or you could choose to do a master's in computer science, but then you could ensure that all the courses that you take are in AI, right? So we offer something like 20 different courses in this area. And so all I wanted to say was the field of computer science has become broad enough that whenever you choose a degree in computer science, you're having to make a lot of choices about what you want to study. And so you could focus on studying, compilers and operating systems and programming languages, or you could choose to study courses more based in AI, which include computer vision, machine learning, robotics, and so on.
Now, because there's so much excitement around this, what if somebody wants to change their major? Who's there? How difficult would that be?
It's not impossible to change, of course. It might add a quarter or so to the time that you spend in school. So right now, we are already seeing, the major was only announced this past Monday. As of yesterday, we already had 60 students plan to declare their intention to be in this major. And that's even before we start talking to the admitted students who are in high school today who will arrive on campus this fall. So I expect the demand to go up. Right now, about 250 students a year get a degree in computer science. So we are not expecting this to be as popular. I would say there will be some shift from the CS majors who maybe have taken already the introductory courses and may want to switch into AI. But also we are going to see a whole new set of students who were not planning on majoring in computer science, but decide they want to major in this new area of AI.
Sure. And on a maybe final note here, I think for anyone getting ready to go to college, anyone getting ready to graduate, there's always that question of what is that industry like when I get my degree? What is it like right now for people who are looking for jobs? Is it, is it rich for opportunities for people, or what does that look like right now?
So I would say, yes, it is rich for opportunities. And I think the opportunities will come to the most highly trained individuals, right? So I think education is a way to be efficient in learning. And obviously, like the courses I took when I was an undergraduate were somewhat different. And obviously, some of the content is the same, but a lot of them have evolved. And especially in a field like computer science, many of our faculty are developing and teaching courses that they themselves never had an opportunity to take themselves, right? So it is an evolving field. So you have to get adept at using these systems, adept at using the tools, but also building the tools, which is the key part of why you're in a 4-year program.
Well, congratulations on getting the idea to fruition, now having this major there for AI. I think it says so much about where we are as a society, but I love the fact that you emphasize so much that the students are going to be able to learn about how to ethically use it. I think that's a huge part, a huge piece of the pie here.
That's correct. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you as well. All right, it's about 3:32, everyone, and meteorologist Mike Kaplan just walked into Studio 32, so give us 2 minutes. We'll get him set up and bring him in for a discussion about our ever-changing weather out there. Stay with us. right, everybody, it's about 3:35 right now. The aforementioned Mike Kaplan is here. What a week it has been in the weather department.
And there's more hits to come, Anita. It's lovely out there today, which is why I'm wearing the mauve blazer here, celebrating the sunshine.
It's to get us to woosah for a moment. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful out there today. A little bit on the chilly side. Temperatures are in the 40s, though. But you know what's missing there?
Snow.
Snow on the ground. Exactly.
Tornado.
All right, now here's
hail. It's missing a few things from this week.
I want to show Anita something right now, and it's going to be just between us, but I'm going to elicit her reaction here. I'm going to show you one of the things I look at when I'm making my forecast. Okay?
Oh boy, okay.
This is a snowfall forecast from the European model, which, as you know I like a European model. And I want you to look at how much snow it's predicting in the Chicago area Sunday night into Monday. Just look at that.
No, it can't be. That Arlington Heights number?
Go ahead, you can say it.
13.8.
How about, what does it say for Chicago?
Oh, goodness. We're sitting with 9.2.
Okay, now here's the deal. It's a long way off. It's one computer model, but most computer models are showing an accumulating snow here Sunday night into Monday. So we have that to look forward to. But again, a lot can change. That's a few days away. It might be more snow. Here's what I'll say, though. The high confidence is there's going to be a significant snowstorm somewhere in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes area. Right now, it looks like Wisconsin going to get absolutely pasted there. There could be some 2-foot snowfall totals, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, which will lead us into the next thing that we're going to talk about. But I'm getting a little bit tingly about this one coming in here for Sunday night into Monday.
You hit those tingles.
I know. I want to push those tingles down. The other thing we've got going on is winds. They're going to pick up tonight into tomorrow, having nothing to do with that potential storm coming in here early next week. We have a high wind warning. A lot of times we'll get a wind advisory. That's usually when we're going to see some rather persistent gust of 40, 45 miles per hour. This situation late tonight, technically from 1 a.m. to 4 p.m. for all of Chicagoland. High wind warning. This is because we could see some gusts to 60 miles per hour. Now, here's the deal. A severe thunderstorm has winds of 58 miles per hour. So we could see winds that have nothing to do with a thunderstorm that are equivalent to what a severe thunderstorm would do, which could take down power lines and the whole thing.
Well, I think about the fact that just within the last 2 hours, Governor Braun has been touring damage in Indiana. Governor Pritzker has been touring damage in Illinois and Kankakee County. And all those folks' stuff sitting out on their curbs. This
is awful. This is terrible. It's going to get wet. We'll have a little bit of shower activity also, both tonight, and then again maybe a little something Saturday, more so on Sunday. We'll probably start as rain and change over to snow. But yeah, I mean, winds blowing stuff around as you're trying to collect from what happened a couple of nights ago. It's awful.
And we had the folks from the Southside Irish Parade, which is on Sunday, in studio this morning for Good Day. You do remember Good Day, right?
Is that on in the morning by any chance?
Something's been happening.
I'll be there Monday in the snowstorm.
Something has been happening since you've been on this evening shift. I don't know. It's shifted the world. Something's been happening. But anyway, maybe things will even out once you're back on your morning shift. Then the world will say like, oh, okay, now we can calm down. But anyhow, we had the folks from the Southside Irish Parade on this morning, and they have been hoping and wishing and praying for good weather for their parade because our file video from their last parade,
clunker.
Yeah. And yet again,
we've been saying all week long, it does not look good. Of the two parades, the downtown parade, not that either parade's going to have ideal weather, but the downtown parade, if there's any precipitation, it would be light and maybe actually in the form of a couple of snow flurries, but the south side has a higher chance of dealing with some rain. It would be rain for the parade and not snow. But
the cold rain.
Well, we could get into the 50s actually on Sunday for a little while before the snow starts. That will all happen after the parade.
It's so crazy.
So, have on a green waterproof jacket and hat for that Southside Irish Parade. That's the recommendation
It's
here.
a lot going on this week, and we're still getting in the information. Have you? I know that we found out that the tornado that came through was an EF3.
Correct.
Are we getting any more information in on what took place this week
They're
in terms
going
of the severe weather?
Yeah, the Weather Service is going to do some continuing damage surveys. I mean, this is a tornado that was on the ground for 30 to 60 miles, kind of depending on who you're listening to right now. But that takes some time to go that entire route, even with drone technology. You know, they want to see, all right, how wide was it when it went through Aroma Park?
Yeah.
How wide was it when it hit Lowell? That's going to take a little bit of time to put together the entire info. They will print out a map that will show the exact track. And of course, we'll be sharing that, I'm sure, on TV and online when that comes out. And that can sometimes take a matter of days. So, please be patient. But,
Sure.
For the folks that were impacted, they don't care.
Yeah, I always
They
say
don't care.
that. You don't care whether it's an EF1 or an EF5. Whatever number is placed on it, what you know is that your home is gone, or your home is damaged, or your loved one is gone. And those things matter way more than the number that they will put
That's
on
assigned
it.
to it,
I mean, that for sure. It's important to note for scientific,
Meteorological, right, the science
purposes,
behind it.
for sure. And do you know the last time we had an EF3 in
No, but I
Illinois?
believe that the last fatality caused by a tornado in Illinois happened back in 2023, so it's been about 3 years. Yeah, we've talked about how mercifully, the tornadoes that we've had a lot of them in the past couple of years. They've been all weak, and those are the ones that are less likely, knock on Formica or whatever this is, acrylic, those are the ones that are less likely to cause serious injury or fatalities. You get what we call significant tornadoes. The EF2s are greater. Those are the ones that create a greater risk to human survival, particularly the 4s and 5s. Those are almost unsurvivable even when you do everything right.
Yeah. And you said that it was on the ground for 30
Over an hour.
to 60
Over an
minutes?
hour. Over an hour. Like, I think it was an hour and 18 minutes. Don't hold it.
What
hold
would
me
be
to that.
typical for a tornado?
Less than 30. Most tornadoes are extant for about 15 minutes. You can go up and down. This is what happened with this particular supercell thunderstorm. There was some, hey, we got a tornado, now it's a funnel cloud. Now it's back to a tornado again. But what I found interesting about this particular storm was it was moving rather slowly. Not the winds within it, but the actual propagation of that storm across the landscape was only about 27 miles per hour. A lot of times we have these storms that are going 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. This was kind of a slow mover, which meant that the wind and hail lasted a longer time on any given location.
Yeah, a lot more damage, a lot more cleanup in its wake, for sure. Again, we were watching as Governor Pritzker was kind of walking through Kankakee, and it's just heartbreaking when you watch people out there, and these things happen so fast.
Right.
Like one minute you have everything you need, and the next minute you need help from the Red Cross. The next minute you don't know where your next meal is coming from, or you're waiting for, friends, family, community members to bring things just for you to get by.
Let me ask you this, though, and you've been in this business long enough, either doing it personally or seeing other people do it. When is the last time you've seen a victim in a tornado or any kind of a windstorm, what have you, and they're interviewed and they're complaining about what has happened? They're almost always grateful that they got out with what they have and their lives.
That's
Isn't that
the most
case?
important thing,
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all perspective, just like we talked about with the number assigned to it versus what's actually happened in your life. The same goes for, listen, if you woke up the next morning to tell the story of what just happened, that is something to be grateful for, that you have your life, even if it has to be rebuilt. you have life.
That can be done.
Yeah, that the rest can be taken care of. So our thoughts are still with the family members, 89 and 84 years old. You just feel horrible about that, but it just could have been so much worse, especially given the details that you've given about how long that tornado was going and how much damage it could have done. Way more lives.
I think yesterday I mentioned with you here that it bothered me that there was loss of life despite all of the preparations. And I've talked to other people that have pitched it a different way, and we've heard this from a lot of the emergency folks that are out there in the field, and they, I think, put in a different way. Had there not been such great alerts, and again, we're not patting, I'm not patting myself on the back, but the whole kind of, everybody in media, all the meteorologists, National Weather Service, everybody that went out there efforting to keep people advised, saved lives.
Yeah.
There could have been more people killed. So
absolutely.
That's another way of looking at it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming up. We know you got to get ready for the 4 o'clock news. Everybody give us 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 3:47 right now, and time for our final conversation for the day here on Chicago Live. We certainly appreciate the fact that you've been with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about some entertainment coming back to Northlight Theater. The schedule was just released, and I have BJ Jones, the artistic director for Northlight Theater, joining me now. Thanks so much for your time.
Harry, thanks for having me.
It's Anita, and listen, behind you, I'm looking at what I think is the future. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. Tell me about it.
It is. It's our brand new, state-of-the-art, 285-seat theater back in Evanston, where we started in 1975 as the Evanston Theater Company. And we're about 85% finished towards completion of the building. And we'll be taking possession of the building in June. And come August 15th, we'll have our opening gala. And by September 17th, we'll be opening our first show, which is a world premiere adaptation by Jeffrey Hatcher of the famous Chicago play Front Page.
Ooh, okay. So many things that I want to talk to you about all of those things that you just mentioned there. But since we're talking about the Front Page, let's start there. What's special about this to make it your first when you come back?
Well, Front Page has been on Broadway several times. It's been made into several movies, one of which was with Cary Grant and Ron Russell called His Girl Friday. So this adaptation is a much more streamlined version, and it sort of pays attention to and honors His Girl Friday. So it's sort of a love story as well as a piece that takes place in 1929 during the newspaper wars here in Chicago. And it's about unscrupulous journalists and crooked politicians. So we thought that would be a really good way to start off honoring our city, the city of Chicago, since we do program all over Chicagoland, both in Chicago and in Evanston, Skokie, the North Shore, all the way up to Milwaukee, out to Rockford, and down to Indiana. So we have a lot of subscribers and single ticket players who come from the entire Chicagoland area. So we thought that would be great to open with some of Chicago's favorite actors, Kate Fry and Tim Kaine. They're Evanstonians, and they're very popular with our subscribers and our single ticket buyers.
Aha. And with so many people who are subscribing from all over, with the new facility, about how many people will be able to be seated per night?
285. What's great about this space, Anita, is that it's not even half a block from the L and the Metro, and it's right in the heart of downtown Evanston, and not very far from where we are now at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts. So we'll be able to maintain our core audience, but there are something like 7,000 people who live in the immediate area who can walk to Northlight, and then you can also take the L and the Metro to get to us. So that's really great. And of course, there's convenient parking right nearby.
And when you were dreaming this up, the renovations, I mean, what was going through you all's minds? What were the things that you wanted to achieve with bringing it back?
Well, for one thing, it's not a renovation. It is a brand new, from the ground up theater. We also have, just behind us, we also have the barn owned by Amy Morton, the restaurateur. So we're surrounded by restaurants and apartment buildings and homes right in the heart of downtown Evanston. That was one of the things we really wanted to be close to a population, a dense population area. And also, it's going to be sort of an arts district because there's a movie theater right nearby. And we also wanted to be able to have our own schedule, to be able to have our own box office. So those are the things that were really important to us. Brand new seats, which are larger and more comfortable than in our current theater. So we really wanted to be able to put into online a brand new theater that not many people are building brand new theaters right now. So this is an exciting thing for the Chicagoland area.
Certainly, absolutely. A brand new home there. So talk about raising the funds for a project like that. I'm sure that had to be a task.
It was a task, but Tim Evans and Kim Hoopengarner, our development director, capital campaign manager actually, have done a brilliant job along with me. We've eaten a lot of breakfasts and lunches with some major donors who really wanted to be able to bring this into fruition. The building is budgeted at $33 million, and we're over $30 million right now. Just a few more million, and we won't have a mortgage, which is really something to be applauded.
Wow.
I think Kim and I, the whole team has done a remarkable job in raising those funds. And a big piece of those donors come from Evanston. So there's a lot of civic pride involved here. We also want to thank the city of Evanston and the state, who also threw down some significant dollars to help us get started.
And when you talk about civic pride, just on a final note, what will it mean to you when it is all said and done and it's opening night and you're sitting in the dream?
Yeah, we were founded in Evanston in 1975, so it's great that we'll be able to come back and to welcome a lot of new folks who maybe haven't come out and seen our work in Skokie. It's going to mean a lot to the community. It's going to mean a lot to us. We'll be able to collaborate with not-for-profits in our area, like Fleetwood Jourdain or Mudlark or Piven, and be able to be a sort of civic central hub. Our lobby will be open all day long for coffee and drinks, and we'll be able to do some daytime programming, and we'll be involved with Northwestern University as well, because we were founded by a guy who got his MFA at Northwestern by founding the Evanston Theater Company in 1974 and 75. So that's pretty thrilling. We're also going to be doing 3 world premieres next year to open a brand new theater, and that's really exciting as well.
Okay, now you just dropped that on me. What are the other world premieres?
Lauren Gunderson, who did the amazing and very popular Christmas at Pemberley series, is doing a piece called All the World, which is a kind of romance in the holidays about 2 actors who fall in love and their journey backstage. You don't get to see them do Christmas Carol or some of the other Jane Austen pieces that we've done. You get to see them in conflict and in love backstage. So it's really going to be a fun sort of show business story. Then we're doing The American Five by Chess Jacobs, and that's a brand new piece. It's only been done once down at the Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and it's about the March on Washington and Martin Luther King writing the I Have a Dream speech. That's going to be directed by Michael Burke, who won the Jeff Award last year. And then we're doing Here There Are Blueberries, which is the story of the photos that were found at Auschwitz. And it's not about the victims of Auschwitz. It's about the people who perpetrated arguably the greatest crime of the century. And finally, it's a world premiere starring E. Faye Butler of Pearls in the House, which is a true story about Pearl Bailey and how she sang for the presidents in the White House. She sang for Eisenhower and Nixon, and finally Ronald Reagan. And Ife Butler is arguably one of the greatest talents on Chicago stages. She's an incredible performer. She's done Dinah Washington, and Ella Fitzgerald. So this is going to be a really fun way to end the season.
Super cool. Which one are you most excited about?
Well, I'm directing Front Page, and it's going to have all of Chicago's favorite actors on stage. So, and that's the opening. So it's really a celebration of Chicago and our history, and I'll be able to work with some of Chicago's favorite actors. So I'm really excited about that. And it's a world premiere adaptation.
All right, BJ, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here on Chicago Live today. And we're wishing Northlight the absolute best. Congratulations on coming out bigger and better.
Thanks a lot, Anita, and come see us.
We'll have to. You sparked my interest in a few of those that you mentioned there. So thank you so much for giving us a list of what was just released. Exciting times in so many portions of our area here as new things are coming about. But of course, we also have very serious things that we're contending with as well. And so coming up next on the 4 o'clock news, they're going to be giving more information about that tragic, attack at a Jewish synagogue in Michigan today, and as they get more information on that developing story, we know that the suspect is dead, but so many babies that were in that facility at the time of this attack, you know, having to reunify with their parents, and you just see the shock on those parents' faces, but at least they were able to have a reunification with their children today. Just another vicious attack, though, on the Jewish community. We hate to see all at the same time as we are watching both governors here in Illinois and also in Indiana tour the devastation left behind from what has been a chaotic week in terms of the weather. So they have plenty to talk about next at 4. I hope to see you back here online tomorrow from 1 to 4 p.m.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Here's what's going on today. A suspected attack at a Michigan synagogue. What we know so far, what police are still looking for.
A Chicago judge now faces a big decision. Should a special prosecutor investigate federal agents after Operation Midway Blitz?
And Governor Pritzker took a first-hand look at Kankakee storm damage, what he just promised families. We've got a few things to